San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego? And a happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We are the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We got a great show planned for you today. There's my, I don't really have a lot of green, so hopefully this suffices. You see the little shamrocks on there? I got the shamrocks on the Padre logo here. That's what I got. That's my, you know why? Because I failed. This is what I failed to do because I forgot about it. And I've had too many things going on to worry about doing this. But with TCU playing in Ireland, they had a bunch of like shamrock TCU gear. I was going to buy one of them before St. Patrick's Day. So I had a St. Patrick's Day type shirt and I forgot to do that. So there you go. I did not hear that. So hopefully that's not the case. Did you see that in the YouTube chat? Did nobody listen to the opening day spot before they ran it? They call you Brandon. Nice.
Jesus.
Where's the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme? Got to play it. We got to find... I'm sure it's going to pop up at least one time today. That's a foul. That is such a foul. Of all weeks to do that, too, by the way. Of all weeks. Has to be this week, huh? You know what? I demand a higher talent fee. I don't know who this Brandon character is. Higher talent fee coming my way.
Boy.
I'm excited to go to Baja Rick's for opening day. I can't believe we're like, what are we, like 9 days away? 10 days away?
Yeah, just about. Next Thursday.
Next Thursday. How about it? Oh, we finally got the weather app probably up to date with the 10-day forecast. What's the weather going to look like for opening day? Oh, wow. High of 78. That's not too bad, Frank.
Thank goodness.
That's not too bad.
Yeah,
that
no,
sounds
that'll
like great opening day weather.
That'll be fine.
Great opening day
I'll
weather.
accept that.
Okay. We got a lot to get to today on the show. We're going to talk a lot about the loaded bracket that is the NCAA tournament. We're going to talk about that throughout the entire day. Tonight is the first day of NCAA tournament action. We have the two games of the first four today, 2 games of the first 4 tomorrow. We will also have full college basketball on Thursday. And if you're somebody that, you know, I keep warning people, you might not see a lot of people at work on Thursday or on Friday. And this is going to be the place to be right here on 97 through the Fan. When you watch the games, have us in the background. We'll be talking about a lot of it. We'll be talking Padres baseball. It's going to be the local flair that you want for the NCAA tournament. Plus, you get to watch me on Thursday do a show while my alma mater is playing. Because for some reason, TCU got the first game of the NCAA tournament. So that's going to be fun. I'm sure that will be just a great time for all of you. And not a great time for me. Can't wait for that. What about Friday? Friday, we're going to be airing the UCSD women's basketball game as they also take on my alma mater. And that will be the beginning part of our show. And then we'll be on after that on Friday, which is a big day for this show. Friday's a big day. Anyway, 833-288-973, 833-288-973 if you want to join the show today. I do want to talk a little Padres baseball before we dive into today's show. We're going to talk about the NCAA tournament. Again, we're 9 days away from opening day, so we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of position battles. We're going to talk about Jose Miranda later on in the show. Today's a big day for the Padres and their starting rotation. Today's a day where Germán Marquez can go out there and try to solidify a spot on this roster. I think Walker Buehler did that yesterday. And a question about Walker Buehler we're going to answer in the 11 o'clock hour, and we're going to look at his pitch mix. Again, we're going to look how he pitched, look at the overall results. They were good, but that in between and some of those metrics that you might be missing when you watch it with the naked eye to tell us whether or not we think Walker Buehler is going to be the guy that has reinvented himself and can help this Padres team in 2026. Do you believe that Walker Buehler has found a new version of himself here in 2026? Because if you believe that, the Padres will be okay in the rotation. If you do not believe that, it's going to be a longer year. And they're going to have to figure something out. I heard on the morning show about particularly some news. And now Ben mentioned, I think it was Robert Murray. He mentioned Robert Murray was talking about Lucas Giolito and how he still believes that Lucas Giolito is the best fit. His best fit is the Padres. Now, I'd have to go find that exactly, but I think that's what I remember from the morning show today. And so as I think about that and I think about where the rotation is right now, I'd be interested to see if they decide to do something like that. Because here's the deal with like Lucas Giolito. Because I'm surprised. Are you surprised? I'm surprised he hasn't signed with anybody yet. Does he think he deserves more money? Or does anybody do people not believe that he could get the job done? I mean, I don't know where we're at right now when it comes to a guy like Lucas Giolito, but it sounds like, or at least what the morning show said, that a lot of people still think he'd fit perfectly with the Padres. I just think right now it's a little late. I mean, to me, unless you think Joe Musgrove is not going to be pitching until middle of the year, which I don't think is going to be the case, and we'll see what the situation is with him as things progress. But at this point in time, the Padres have a guy coming back from injury in May in Griffin Canning. In order to get a guy like Lucas Giolito ready to go, he's going to have to get ramped up a little bit, which means he's going to be missing probably if they were to sign him today. Let's just say they were able to they signed him today. He's got to go through extended spring training to be able to get up to speed. And then you got multiple guys coming back in May. And maybe that's worth the risk. But right now, I feel like you need a little bit more. You need some arms right now to start the season. Now, Germán Márquez is going to pitch today in the big league game. J.P. Sears and Jason Adam are going to pitch in the minor league game today. Matt Waldron is coming in after Márquez in the stadium today. That's according to Jeff Sanders. So 2 guys that are competing for a rotation spot going back-to-back against Seattle today in Peoria. And the lineup today, again, not expected to see Manny Tatis, right? The lineup today, Jake Cronenworth, Jackson Merrill, Miguel Andujar, Gavin Sheets, Xander Bogaerts, Freddie Fermin, Nick Castellanos, Ramon Laureano, Ty France, and Germán Márquez. That is your starting pitcher today. So this is a big day for the Padres. Now, I didn't understand what our guy Juan in the YouTube chat was saying yesterday about social media and the reaction to the news about Joe Musgrove until I went on social media this morning and started to see some of that stuff. Because right now, I use and you know what, foul on me, maybe not a foul on me. I use the For You portion of Twitter to kind of see some stuff that I don't really follow all the time. And right now, my feed is just inundated with college basketball. So I missed a lot of the Padres talk about Joe Musgrove, or at least on social media, and some of the negativity obviously out there about, his contract and this and that. When I look at a guy like Joe Musgrove, I know he's gotten hurt. This guy's given this organization a lot already. And the reality of the situation is with this contract, any type of player like Joe Musgrove is getting what he is getting paid right now. It's unfortunate that he's been hurt. But the reality is, you want to get a pitcher like Joe Musgrove, even with some injury history, that's how much he kind of costs nowadays on the open market. Maybe you get a pitcher like that for a little bit less. But I'm not going to sit here and criticize the contract that Joe Musgrove has because he's not pitching right now at the beginning of the year. And there's something that Tony said yesterday in the afternoon show as I was driving home that I thought was interesting. He brought up the fact that Joe Musgrove's been throwing a lot. He's been pitching a lot because he was trying to get ramped up to potentially pitch in the postseason last year. And it was only a matter of time before he needed a little bit of extended rest because of all the work he'd been putting in. So it was expected by the Padres that Joe was going to have to take some time at this point in the season, at this point in spring training. So nothing is that alarming to the situation with Joe Musgrove. Because eventually his body was going to need a break coming back from injury. And so right now you're seeing that little bit of a break. And that's why I'm not really worried about it. I'm really not. I'm not that worried about it. I'm not as worried about it because I think you have options in that rotation to survive the first couple months of the season. Today's, again, going to be a really telling day for the Padres and a guy like German Marquez. Walker Buehler is definitely on this team. And we're going to break down the pitch matrix of Walker Buehler and what he did yesterday and what he has done in spring training. And I'm telling you, it's just a different it's just a different Walker Buehler, which I think him being able to reinvent himself is going to be a payoff for the Padres. I don't think you're going to see the Walker Buehler you've seen the last couple of years because I think the Walker Buehler you're trying to see the last couple of years, injuries to his elbow, still having elbow issues, trying to be the pitcher that he used to be, and now realizing he's not the pitcher he used to be. And I think he's reinvented himself. And I'm going to tell you why in the 11 o'clock hour, based on some of the analytics that we have seen. And I think with that, you're comfortable with him being a number 4 in this rotation, at least for the time being at the beginning of the year before Griffin Canning comes back. Now, German Marquez, this is pretty telling for the Padres because I think German Marquez has the leg up on Marco Gonzalez because I don't think Marco Gonzalez is making this team. I really don't. If he does, I don't think it's, he better have like a really good bounce back outing in his last outing in spring, but we're running out of time. And I don't think Marco Gonzalez is going to be on this team. I think Matt Waldron is going to start potentially on the injured list to try to get ramped back up. And that's kind of been the report from camp that he's going to get ramped back up. And so he's going to start on the injured list. So he's not really in the running. And it's German Marquez, and it's Tristan McKenzie, and it's JP Sears. I mean, out of that group, you kind of want German Marquez to kind of win that battle. He's looked relatively the best out of the group, and that's coming off of an outing that wasn't very good for German Marquez. It was a little bit wild. Things didn't go his way too many times during that outing. But this is an important spring training game for the Padres today because it's going to show you what this rotation is going to look like in the first month of the year. Is this going to be your number 5 starter? And again, we've talked about it before. And I'll say the same thing about Walker Buehler. You don't need Walker Buehler to be LA Walker Buehler. You'd love for him to be LA Walker Buehler. Let me say that right now. Obviously, you would love to see him get back to his ace level and be dominant, but that's not what you're asking him to do on a minor league deal. You're asking him to be a number 4 starter due to some injuries. And with German Marquez, you're not asking him to be an all-star. You're asking him to get you 109 innings and go 5 innings a game and give up 3 runs or less. That's what you're asking German Marquez to do. That's the goal. That's the goal every time. Regardless of what his pitch makeup might be, regardless of what his analytics are saying. When the season starts, results start to matter a lot more than what the analytics are telling you about the arms. Sure, they could give you an inside look of maybe he's pitching slightly better than the results are appearing. Maybe he's getting a little bit more lucky. Maybe he's not getting lucky. That's what you like to use the analytics for. But at the end of the day, if your analytics are looking great and everything's looking great, but you're putting up 5-6 runs and you're allowing 5-6 runs a game, it doesn't really matter what your analytics are. Right? That's cool, but it matters. The results matter. So today's an important start for Ramon Marquez to see if he can be locked back in after a not so great of an outing in his last time out. And he didn't have the ball bounce his way a whole lot. So that's coming up at 1:10 today as the Padres take on the Mariners. It's a very important start for Ramon Marquez, a very important start for the Padres rotation. Now, there's other battles going on. Of course, we've seen a lot of Ty France recently, not as much Jose Miranda. I mean, Bryce Johnson is still, I think, battling for a spot, although I put him on the team more than not being on the team. And these are the last couple of days for position battles to see whether or not you're going to make this team or not. And the Padres got a lot of big decisions, and it's exciting times because we're 9 days out from opening day. So when you look at this rotation, I don't know if this is a rotation that you want to see come October. I think you're going to get some good stuff out of Walker Buehler this year, but it's definitely a rotation. It's going to survive the first part of the year, and we'll see what happens with Joe. I think Joe Musgrove's going to come back. I'm not going to panic like one said in the YouTube chat. Not going to panic like a lot of Padres fans have been. I think Joe Musgrove's going to be back at a certain time. And I think Tony brought up a good point yesterday again. We have this look, and we have this appeal and kind of understanding of opening day being like this cutoff date for the end-all be-all. But in reality, it's just game one of 162 games. At the end of the day, these players are going to miss games throughout the year. There's not going to be a lot of guys that are making all of their starts, and there's not going to be a lot of guys that are going to always be out there out of the bullpen, and there's not going to be a lot of guys that post every single day. It's very rare to see guys post every single day. So players not being ready at the beginning of the year, it's not that big of a deal. The opening day roster is a big thing for a lot of people, but if you look at last year's opening day roster and you compare it to last year's October roster, it is a drastically different roster. Now, a lot of that's to do with the trade deadline and everything like that, but just because it's a big day and we're excited for opening day and this is the 2026 Padres, it's just one game out of 162 from the perspective of players being available and ready to go. So I'm not going to sit here and panic about the rotation because Joe Musgrove is going to start the year on the injured list. I'm just not. Now, if he continues to be on the injured list through most of the season, yeah, it's obviously a little bit concerning. But right now, guys like Jason Adam being progressed slowly, not worried about it. Guys like Joe Musgrove starting on the injured list, not worried about it. Well, these guys are going to miss time throughout the year. There's a lot of players on this team that are going to miss time throughout the year. You honestly would rather have them do it at the beginning of the season than in the middle of the end of the season. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. A lot of Padres talk to get to today, a lot of March Madness talk to get to today. We got tons of sports on the docket as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, setting us on Sports Station 97 through the Fan. Well, NFL free agency is here and overreactions are everywhere. Vikings add Kyler Murray. Does that mean J.J. McCarthy is done? Not so fast. Falcons signed Tua Tagovailoa. Michael Penix Jr. might still be the starter when healthy. Steelers, their streak of winning seasons could finally end without a real quarterback solution. Kenneth Walker III signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. Fantasy hype is real, but history says don't overvalue him. A.J. Brown and Max Crosby didn't move. The trade market isn't over. And the Rams, L.A., made key upgrades and looks ready to compete for a Super Bowl again. Free agency is fun, but separating the hype from reality is where smart takes live. This is the time where we talk overreactions to the NFL free agent period and some of the trades that have already happened. And let's start with some quarterback shakeups as the Vikings have signed Kyler Murray. J.J. McCarthy's future is now uncertain, but the Vikings not ready to give up yet. Falcons signed Tua Tagovailoa. Michael Penix Jr. is recovering from an ACL, likely still a starter when healthy. And right now, is this a quarterback shakeup in any of these places, or is this just a giant overreaction? For me, I find it to be an overreaction. I think a lot of teams are doing their due diligence right now.
Yeah, I believe so as well. The Kyler Murray thing, I think, has a little bit more ability to stand because of the trade. But I mean, and you've also got a trade for Justin Fields that happened this morning too. So there are a bunch of quarterbacks moving around. Not to say that Justin Fields is going to challenge Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, but it is, I think, a little bit of an overreaction that these are quarterback shakeups and that McCarthy and Penix are out of a job.
What about Justin Fields getting traded to the Chiefs? Mahomes? He's coming off an injury.
Said.
I think it's a good move for Kansas City to have a good backup. Like somebody's got to take the snaps during the offseason while he recovers.
Exactly. Yep.
Pittsburgh Steelers are kind of facing reality. It's their first losing season since 2003 is possible after Mike Tomlin retires. They added Michael Pittman Jr. and Jamal Dean and Rico Dowdle. They lost Kenneth Gainwell and Isaac Samalo. No quarterback solution yet. And Aaron Rodgers' return uncertain as age concerns are very real. I don't think the Steelers facing reality is an overreaction. I think they're honestly facing a reality of not being good in the near future. And it could be a couple of years of this rebuild, or even as disastrous as a decade if they don't get their quarterback situation settled.
Yeah, because Aaron Rodgers is not your long-term future. And even when you've had guys like Mason Rudolph, those have been injuries that you've been waiting for someone else to come back. So I would be very concerned if I were a Pittsburgh Steelers fan about the direction of the future of this team. Now, you do have a new head coach coming in, might change it a little bit. A lot of people in Pittsburgh maybe feel that it's change of scenery, new voice in there, could possibly change things, but this could be a very, very dark time for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I think so too. Be careful what you wish for, Pittsburgh, and get rid of Mike Tomlin. I don't necessarily think you're going to have the quick turnaround as you might think you're going to get. Kenneth Walker III, he wins the Super Bowl MVP with Seattle, and he's now in the Chiefs' backfield. Super Bowl MVP, signed with KC, expected heavy workload, history of injuries, plus Andy Reid's pass-heavy system suggests he won't dominate as a fantasy running back one. I honestly might disagree with the overreactions. I just, from a fantasy standpoint, I don't think it's that great of a pickup if you are going to try to pick him up in fantasy football. From a Chiefs backfield perspective, I think it does change the dynamic a little bit for this offense.
Yeah, it certainly does. And it'll also allow Kansas City to kind of keep Patrick Mahomes in the backfield, not have him running for his life. You'd be able to hand the ball off a little bit more with a guy like Kenneth Walker. And what you saw out of him in the Super Bowl is that he is a guy who does not mind taking the hits, getting a bunch of work out. So I would be very surprised if Kansas City doesn't find a way to actively use him, if not just as an effort to try to save Patrick Mahomes a little bit of grief.
There's been some trade target stalemates, and the most notable players that we thought were going to be traded, one of them actually got traded for a little bit, but A.J. Brown for the Eagles and Max Crosby for the Raiders remain on their current teams after failed early trade talks. Teams may pursue trades closer to June or after the draft, but I don't necessarily know if this is a missed window yet, because there's still a long time for these two players to get traded. So I think it's an overreaction thinking these players are going to stay on their teams come August.
I mean, we're about a month and a half away from the draft.
Right.
So, I mean,
just everybody's main focus right now.
Yeah, there's still a lot of.
Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We will be out at Baja Rick's on opening day. Well, Frank and this guy named Brandon's going to be out there. I don't know why I didn't get invited. Play the song. You got to play it again.
This is what happens when you. That's what happens when you eat your talent fees, dude. They don't send you out there anymore.
I know. I will say, so I got tagged. Baja Ricks tagged me in the in their post yesterday. My name is spelled correctly, which is great. Which is great. My name is spelled correctly. Now, here's the problem. Apparently, our ad that we run does not say Braden. It says Brandon, which is not great. Not great, Bob. I got to be able to. Somebody dropped that in there. Something, palm, something. on the YouTube chat. Death by palm tree. That sounds painful.
Yeah, it doesn't sound great now, does it?
Yeah, exactly. So
We had to trim those stupid things in our backyard.
Those are
They're
razors.
Pointy, yeah.
So anyway, some guy named Brandon's going to be there. I don't know if he's a frog or not.
No,
I got to hear this ad. You got to go through the log and see if you find it.
No,
And let me know.
Brandon's a forg. He's not a frog. He's
You know
a
what?
forg.
It would only make sense if the alter ego of me would be just like somebody went to Baylor. So I guess he'd be a bear. So I think that would probably fit more, maybe. It's either that or SMU. You know what? I don't tell anybody. I kind of like Texas Tech. I kind of like their swag. I like Raider Red. Raider Red's a great mascot, so I can't necessarily hate Texas Tech too much. But I think the alter would be the Baylor deal because I love the fact that this is the best S-talk I've ever heard for anything against TCU is other Big 12 schools saying, shut up, Purple Baylor. Because it ignites. It's so funny. It's so funny. Gets me every time. Yeah, David Vu. Sorry, Baylor is catching strays. David Vu in our YouTube chat is a Baylor alum. They will always catch strays. So is SMU. Always will catch strays. Sometimes Texas Tech and horns down always. Anyway, Baja Ricks opening day. We're going to be there. What happened to Tim? Tim in Miramar has called in multiple times. We're going to get to your phone call, Tim. If you give us a call back, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. While Tim is calling us, because he's called us multiple times, I'm sure he's got some good information to pass along. Let's talk about this deal. So I heard Ben and Woods talk about this, and I had to go do the research. I had to look it up. But in an article on yahoo.com, they laid out what MLB insider Robert Murray believe the Padres are missing in terms of an obvious move. With opening day approaching, the Padres are facing a real rotation question. A potential no-brainer solution is sitting on the free agent market, according to Robert Murray. The issue starts with Joe Musgrove, who's expected to begin the season on the injured list after a setback in his recovery from Tommy John surgery. That immediately creates a hole in a rotation that already carried uncertainty entering spring. Internally, the Padres do have options. They could turn to pitchers currently in camp, like Walker Buehler, Marco Gonzalez, Tristan McKenzie. But while those names offer upside, they also come with health concerns, inconsistency, or unknown reliability early in the season. And that's where Robert Murray has thrown in the idea of Lucas Giolito. 31-year-old right-hander, still a free agent, despite posting a 3.41 ERA in 26 starts last season with the Boston Red Sox. And while he's no longer viewed as an ace that he was during his peak with the Chicago White Sox, Giolito is still a solid, dependable innings eater, something the Padres may desperately need. And the argument that he makes is the Padres have a rotation uncertainty. President of Baseball Operations, A.J. Preller, has a history of stockpiling pitching depth. Giolito is available late in spring, likely at a reduced cost. Put these together, and the move is being labeled a no-brainer. They also note the ballpark fit argument, where Giolito has been prone to allowing home runs, but moving to Petco Park, widely considered a pitcher-friendly environment, could help mitigate that weakness. Timing also matters. With opening day so close, Giolito might be willing to accept a short-term or lower-value deal just to secure a roster spot, making him an even more attractive option for a team looking for immediate help without long-term commitment. Ultimately, this situation highlights a familiar tension with this Padres team. Trust internal options and upside arms versus out-of-proven veteran stability to protect against early season struggles. And once again, the spotlight squarely on Preller's decision-making philosophy. I think this is an interesting conversation. But at the same time, what does Lucas Giolito give you that Walker Buehler or some of these other arms don't give you? Does he give you more certainty? Is he a guy that's more certainty? I mean, I think there's question marks with Lucas Giolito. And my biggest thing is the Padres need help in the near future with the month of April because Griffin Canning is coming back. During that month, I don't know if Lucas Giolito is going to be built up enough to go out there and start playing games in a big league way. This move to me would be for a longer-term solution of maybe giving him the same deals they give Nick Pivetta, and maybe he replaces Pivetta next year in this rotation. You could get him for a cheaper number. I could see the Padres doing this, but at this point in time, I mean, if you were to sign Lucas Giolito today, when do you think his first start would be? Like the end of April? Because he has to get built up a little bit. So I don't necessarily know if it's a no-brainer move right now, and maybe Lucas Giolito's still holding out for more money. Well, the situation I think of the most when it comes to Giolito is the Dallas Keuchel situation, and that didn't really work out, did it? It wasn't. He held out for a lot of money, and his late start to the year didn't lead to a great year. I don't see this situation as it's such a no-brainer because he is more reliable than what you currently have internally. I don't mind the move in terms of stocking up veteran depth, knowing that the Padres are going to need pitching in the future, and maybe signing a guy like Giolito to a, Nick Pivetta type deal or a Michael King type deal, right? Where it's like low up front, but maybe some incentives and high in the back where you could get more pitching for a couple years. I could see that move being productive for the Padres, but right now, Frank, I don't know if the Padres are going to do that at this point in time. I mean, I'd take Lucas Giolito on this team. Don't get me wrong. I just don't understand the argument about Lucas Giolito being more of a reliable piece than some of the guys that you currently have because he had the year last year. I mean, he's got question marks too.
Yeah, and I think you brought it up at the end of last segment too, is that if you bring in Lucas Giolito now, he's not going to be ready for opening day. He's not going to be ready to make the opening day roster. He's not going to be ready for the first couple of weeks because he's got to ramp up. He hasn't been on a team. Now, granted, that doesn't mean he hasn't been throwing, but he has not been in a major league camp getting ready to pitch.
Throwing on a mound in the bullpen is way different than throwing in games.
Yes, 100%. So for the Padres to bring in Lucas Giolito, I think it does signal maybe a little bit more something we discussed yesterday, which is maybe Musgrove is a little bit more banged up than the team and he is letting on. There's no real need with the competition that you've had all spring training to go out there and sign a pitcher who is not going to be ready for the first couple of weeks of the season. It just doesn't make sense to me with all the pitchers that you have already here in camp.
I think another reason why would be not only money, but maybe the Padres and, maybe the Padres think that the guys that they have are better. Maybe they liked what Walker Buehler has done, and they're like, I don't know if we're going to get that out of Lucas Giolito. Maybe they don't want another project of getting a guy up to speed. I mean, I can't believe I agree with Smash the numbers. I usually don't, but I agree with the fact that you're kind of getting him for a name. I mean, that's what it is. I think if you sign Giolito, it's for like a name. And, obviously the national media does not believe in Walker Buehler or Ramon Marquez or JP Sears or any of the options the Padres have, because you could see based on the projections of Fangraphs that, and some of the over-unders for wins this season, the totals don't line up with them believing in this rotation having any type of success. And they think throwing Walker Buehler out there is a major risk. I thought it was at the beginning of the spring training. I don't think it now based on how Walker Buehler is pitched. But I just, if you want to stockpile more veteran arms and kick the can down the road for decisions you're going to have to make, go for it. But I don't think the Padres are in that position yet. And I also think this. I think if it was worse with Joe Musgrove, they'd sign Giolito.
Yeah.
And they would have signed him by now. But we'll see. I mean, Robert Murray saying he thinks it's a no-brainer for the Padres. Aside from the Padres being involved, I know we got to take a break. I am shocked Giolito has not signed with anybody yet.
Yeah, so am I. I thought he had signed weeks ago. I didn't realize that he was a free agent until you mentioned it yesterday.
Right. So, anyway, 833-288-973, 833-288-973. We're going to head to break. When we come back, get your phone calls on this. We'll also continue the conversation about this rotation because it's very interesting as we're 9 days out from opening day. The Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station, 97 through the Fan. The Tritons are making noise. The biggest headline comes from the women's basketball team, where UCSD just won its second straight Big West championship, beating Hawaii 60-48 behind a monster performance from Erin Condren. 22 points, 14 boards. That win sends the Tritons back to the NCAA tournament, where they'll face the 3-seeded TCU Horned Frogs in the first round. Meanwhile, on the baseball diamond, UCSD just swept Cal State Northridge in a wild 3-game series that included a 17-16 slugfest. J.C. Allen hit nearly 600 on the weekend, while Gabe Camacho continues to lead the Big West in home runs. Softball also had a strong showing, taking 2 of 3 from UC Davis behind big performances from Haley Garcia and Malia Cherry. So the question now is simple. Are the Tritons becoming one of the rising programs in the Big West? Because right now, UCSD is winning everywhere. UCSD men's basketball season came to an end in the Big West tournament quarterfinals after an 80-70 loss to the CSUN Matadors men's basketball team. Junior Tom Beatty led the Tritons with a career-high 22 points and 5 3-pointers, while freshman Hudson Mays added 17 points. UCSD actually controlled much of the game early, leading 36-32 at halftime and building a 9-point lead early in the second half. But CSUN surged late behind a dominant 34-point performance from Larry Hughes II, finishing the game on a hot shooting run. Tritons closed the season with an impressive 23-11 overall record. They don't make the NCAA tournament, Frank, but they finished top 5 in the Big West Conference. Another good season, especially after a new head coach and everything with that left with last year's team.
Yeah, another solid 20-win season as well, coming into Division I basketball, made the national championship tournament last year, and now you're just missing out. So a very, very good year for the UCSD Tritons this year.
The big story, though, is the women's basketball team, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Tritons defeated the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors basketball team 60-48 to capture their second straight Big West championship. Forward Erin Condren delivered a dominant performance with 22 points and 14 rebounds, while tournament MVP Michaela Rose added 17 points and 8 boards, with both players logging all 40 minutes. This win sends UC San Diego to the NCAA Division I Women's Basketball Championship for the second consecutive year. They will enter as the number 16 seed, and I wonder who they face
they'll be in
the first round.
They'll be a 14 seed, and they'll take on the 3-seeded TCU Horned Frogs in women's basketball. That's going to be a game heard on these airwaves on Friday. So
yes.
Should be a fun time for the Tritons and for TCU. I'll be locked into that game on Friday before our show, so it should be a fun time on Friday. But
you're going to come in early and hang out with me as I work the game?
I might. I might.
Attaboy.
Maybe I will. We'll see how it goes on Friday for the Tritons. But TCU's had a really great season in women's college basketball. They've invested a lot of money into that team. So they came up they won the Big 12 conference and then came up short in the conference tournament. So should be a tough test for UCSD. On to baseball. The Tritons opened Big West play with a 3-game sweep of CSUN in a series full of offense. This weekend included a 17-16 shootout win, a 6-4 comeback victory, and a 12-4 finale to secure the sweep.
Yeah, outfielder Gabe Camacho continues to lead the Big West in home runs and in RBIs, while J.C. Allen, had an incredible weekend, going 10 for 17 with an unbelievable 10 RBIs, leaving UC San Diego at 3-0 in Big West play so far this year.
Yeah, great start to Big West play for the Tritons in baseball. On to softball, where UCSD took 2 of 3 against its Big West foe in UC Davis. Tritons swept Friday's doubleheader 9-4 and 6-4, powered by the top of the lineup. And then leadoff hitter Haley Garcia combined for 5 hits, 4 RBIs, and 3 runs, while Malia Cherry added 4 hits and 4 RBIs. UC Davis avoided the sweep with a 4-1 win in the series finale, but the Tritons still secured that overall series victory. And as of right now, Frank, you look at UCSD doing a lot of damage in a lot of Big West sports.
Yeah, absolutely. They have been all over the place ever since coming up to Division I, and they've had a lot of success in doing so. So bravo to them. They've taken the bump up from D2 to D1 very seriously, and it's showing not just in basketball, but in all of their sports.
Yeah, one thing is becoming very clear across UCSD athletics. The Tritons are adjusting to Division I faster than many expected. Women's basketball program is already winning conference titles and making NCAA tournament appearances. Baseball's off to a strong start in the Big West, a conference that they have already won already at the D1 level, and they're using that explosive offense that they have. Softball continues to be competitive in conference series. Even men's basketball, despite the tournament exit, finished the season with 23 wins, which is a major milestone for a program still establishing itself at the D1 level. What stands out most is the depth of success across multiple sports. UCSD isn't relying on just one program. They're seeing momentum across the athletic department. That's usually a sign of a program that's starting to build real conference relevance. All guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking, it's better. We'll have Sam Levitt joining us on that hotline to start the noon hour in a couple of hours, obviously, or just an hour and 15 minutes, if you will. Talking Padres baseball, getting our weekly camp report. We got 2 more of those, right? You got this week and next week, and that's it.
So
or this Tuesday and Thursday.
I haven't heard, but is he doing the futures game this year too? Because he did it last year and it got washed the year before that.
I don't know if he's doing it or not.
I haven't heard anything about that. Maybe we can ask him today.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they I don't know if they wanted the full crew or not. I'm not. I'm
sorry, the spring breakout game.
I mean, sure. You could probably text him in like 2 seconds and get an answer.
I probably could. I'm going to do that. Good idea.
But yeah, when's he coming back? If that's not, does he need to be there for the final game? If the players are going to be there for the final game, what does Sam need to be there for? He better get a date shake on the way back. He didn't get one on the way out there. It would be a foul. We're just racking up fouls against Sam with his culinary choices. Or should I say lack thereof?
Oh, no. They were choices. They were choices.
Decisions were made. Bad decisions were made. At least it wasn't like a bad decision like a drunk text or something like that. He's just not eating what he should be eating at a barbecue place. 833-288-973, 833-288-973. We're going to talk about some news from yesterday. Obviously the biggest news yesterday was the fact that Joe Musgrove is going to start the season on the injured list, as it's been reported. We're going to talk a little bit about Camposano in just a second. But let's get to the phones. Kevin in Chula Vista wants to weigh in. Kevin, what's going on? What's on your mind today?
Well, we can finally put Aztec basketball aside a little bit and get back into the topic at hand here. So first of all, Joe Musgrove, God bless him, he has, been hurt a lot for 2 years. I don't know, Braden, why anyone would be surprised that it's going to take him a while, maybe a good while, to work back up to where he can be the Musgrove that we hope that he can be. So anything that comes out of Joe at this point, that's kind of like putting a cherry on top of the whipped cream that you didn't expect to get sometimes. What concerns me most about the Padres, I've been on record for a long time is my thinking is get your problems solved in the off season. And the problem that I have with this rotation is, and this is not only me saying this, you listen to MLB radio, some of the other experts that are out there, it's basically being put together like they're taking wet noodles, throwing it up against the wall to see what sticks. This is not, for my own personal liking, a situation where you want to go into the season expecting that you're going to be a World Series contender, let alone a playoff contender, with so many question marks. So we'll see what happens, but for my liking, this is where you want to have younger pitchers that have healthy arms ready to go. And we're basically picking up guys off somebody's scrap heap, hoping that they're going to reinvent themselves here. That's where it comes to, in my book.
Yeah, well, Kevin, that's what they're doing this year. But the difference is this year is it's a lot younger of players. I mean, these are guys in their 30s and their young 30s and not their older. You're not picking up Jason Marquis when he's 40-something years old. It's not Yuli Gurriel. I mean, these guys still have a lot left in the tank, and some of them are definitely risks, but that's what you have to take when you've spent the money that you have spent. And obviously, with the farm system that the Padres have had, it would be nice to pull up guys all the time, but sometimes it's no guarantee that these young arms are going to do anything. I mean, what happens if you bring up a young arm, Frank, and then he sucks? Then what? Then what do you do, right? I mean, you're taking risks regardless.
You're in the same situation you would be in if you had a 43-year-old arm and he sucked. Same thing, different age.
I mean, they traded for a couple of guys, right? Like Randy Vasquez and Johnny Brito, and I'm curious to see what Johnny Brito does this year and when he comes back from his injury as well. But you run into situations like that, too, with the young arms. Like, to me, I think everybody – this is my opinion on, like, the minor league system is, first of all, I have never heard a report, and correct me if I'm wrong, I have never heard a report about any minor leaguer being terrible. Have you heard of any report of a minor leaguer that the Padres have or anybody has that's like, this guy's actually awful? Have you?
No.
I have not heard one report about any minor leaguer being bad. Not one. It's always, this guy is the second coming of Jesus. And it's just like, is he?
This guy is absolutely awful. That's why we threw him in the Juan Soto trade.
Right. Like, okay, I will believe the Leo DeVries conversation. The guy's a stud. Everybody knows he's a stud. He's the top whatever prospect in all of baseball. Guy's hitting like 400 in spring training. And you got to give up something good to get something good in return. But go back to some of the trades that the Padres have done. And a lot of the guys they've shipped off haven't been very good. Some of them pan out, some of them don't. But like, I feel like people just assume that you can have maybe what the Dodgers have in terms of the minor leagues, where they just bring up guys and they seem like they're studs. That's very difficult to do, and there's not a lot of teams that do that. I mean, what did they do with... they brought up a young arm, right? Does anybody remember Mackenzie Gore? What did Mackenzie Gore do with the Padres? I mean, for a year, he like had the yips for a little bit, and he couldn't throw strikes, and it was awful. And then he comes up, he was okay. It wasn't like spectacular. And I know you shipped him off for Juan Soto. It's like, well, that's a guy now that we could probably have part of this rotation. I mean, what has Mackenzie Gore done? I know he was fine with Washington.
And there's also no guarantee that he figures it out if he stays here.
Correct.
There's no guarantee. He could have, if you didn't trade him for Juan Soto, he could still be that same yipped up pitcher that can't throw strikes.
Look, I understand. He is a guy, like he was an all-star last year. It's great. He's 26 years old. I know he's young. He's still learning how to pitch, and he could probably develop into something that's good. But at the same time, right now, what he has given in Major League Baseball for the last couple of years, because everybody's complaining about we don't have any young arm pitching. If he was still on the team, they didn't make that trade. I mean, he's given you over a 4 ERA in every year, but in 2024, when he had a 3.9 ERA. And his ERA plus, which grades him compared to everybody else in Major League Baseball, is below an average baseball player. So again, this was your first round draft pick. And this is what he is at the major league level. Okay? That doesn't mean he won't improve. He's 26 years old. You could take more chances on a guy like him than a guy that's in his 30s, right? I agree. But at the same time, he's not somebody that's changing what you have already had. I mean, what has Mackenzie Gore done that the Padres' other pitchers that they've brought in haven't been able to accomplish? I mean, you could compare him with probably Randy Vasquez. I mean, he's giving you basically what Randy Vasquez has given you to an extent. I mean, I'm just going off the top of my head here. I mean, you compare the two. Randy is a year older than Mackenzie Gore. Randy is a year older than Mackenzie Gore. Last year, Randy had a better ERA than Mackenzie Gore. He threw less innings. Okay, they're ramping him up. That's fine. But everything that Mackenzie Gore has given his teams, Randy Vasquez has given the Padres. He actually has a higher ERA plus than Mackenzie Gore from last year, as frustrating as it was to watch Randy Vasquez. So, again, as much as you want to say, like, I find the whole narrative of going, like, we should have all these young guys built up, I find it to be an excuse of, it is kind of hindsight, but it's like, you can't just pick the other form to build a roster in its perfect form and not like what it actually is. I mean, there's not a single team in Major League Baseball that hits on every single one of the young guys.
No, correct. And you need to have age. You need to have people there that have been there and done that. You need to have guys that have had success at the major league level in order to teach these young guys. It's called growing pains when you have a team like, say, the Washington Nationals right now that really don't have any veteran leadership, and they're just kind of letting the young guys go out and do it and figure it out their own way. Now, take a team like the Cardinals, for instance. You can't have guys like Wilson Contreras and Nolan Arenado just wasting away there and use the excuse of, oh, well, they're mentoring the young guys. There are guys there, like you could have Ramon Laureano be a mentor, a guy who's not going to make or break the roster, but he's been there, he's done it, and he can help the young guys along. There are teams that don't have that, and the teams that don't have those types of players and those type of mentors don't go anywhere. So you have to have a balance between age and experience in order to make a championship run.
Right. And then here's the other thing, too. It's like some of these guys that some of the players, it's so funny. Some of the players that we hear from Padres fans go like, well, I can't believe we're going to have this guy part of the rotation. Last year it was Stephen Kolek and Ryan Berger. And now fans are like, why don't we have Stephen Kolek and Ryan Berger? I can't believe we got rid of those guys. Well, one of those guys is at Tommy John surgery. And was it Berger or Kolek? I can't remember.
Kolek.
One of them had shut down at the end of the year. He didn't even get to pitch. And it's like, okay, maybe bringing that guy back would be fine. But where did they get Kolek from? The Rule 5 draft, right? They got him for the Rule 5 draft. You want Adam Mazur back? Adam Mazur had Tommy John surgery. Adam Mazur has made 6 starts for the Marlins at a negative 0.2 WAR, 0-4, the 4.80 ERA. Is that what you want back? I mean, you can't have the hindsight with every move that is made. It's like some of the guys that are on this team are more beneficial to be on the Padres than the guys that you gave up for those players.
This is what you get when you type into Google Stephen Kolek or Ryan Berger Tommy John surgery.
No, why would you do that?
Ryan Berger underwent Tommy John surgery in 2021. Tyler Kolek, who very notably, his name is not Stephen, had Tommy John surgery in April 2016.
His name is not Stephen. Nice. I mean, I remember for a long period of time the reports about Robbie Snelling. Robbie Snelling, future, I can't give up a guy like Robbie Snelling. Robbie Snelling. It's like, okay. He's a guy that has been in the minor leagues still till last year. Now, he's only 21. I mean, he's got a lot of opportunity to be a really good player, but that doesn't fit your current timeline. No. He's not making an impact on your team for the next 2 or 3 years. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a young arm, but what are you going to feed him to the Wolves at the major league level?
And that's another thing. You trade away all these top guys, and then there's another group right after him whose name is ready to get shoved down your throat. If it wasn't, you trade away, just to pick names, just say Mason McCoy for a name is the next big thing. They trade him away. Well, then here's Brandon Buttersworth. He's the next big. There's always the next person in line. There's always someone else behind him who is the can't miss prospect that you had never heard of. Never knew he was in the farm system for the last 5 years, but he's there and he's ready to shine now.
I'm going to end this segment with how I started this segment. I have yet to read a report about a minor league player that sucks. They're all good.
Sam is doing the spring breakout game, by the way. He
Nice.
just confirmed.
Have you ever heard a report about a minor leaguer being bad?
No, there was that one guy.
That one guy, yeah. Let's go look up Frank Marchese's profile. Hey. Braden Surprenant's profile. I've never heard of a minor leaguer.
Braden Surprenant.
That's
Get
right.
it right.
That's right. We'll talk more Padres baseball next. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. 11 o'clock hour on the Fan. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everybody out there that celebrates St. Patrick's Day. Do you celebrate St. Patrick's Day or no? Because you're Italian. No, you're Italian.
And I know exactly what I'm coming home to today, and I'm not happy about it.
Corned beef?
Yep.
You don't like corned beef?
Nope.
I like corned beef.
The smell of it is. Oof.
Can't handle it?
Nope.
You getting the cabbage too?
Yep.
Are you going to eat that or are you going to go get
Nope.
You get Taco Bell instead?
I don't know what
Taco Bell nuggets? What do you mean we? I mean, somebody at your house has to be eating the corned beef
my
and
dad.
cabbage. Just your dad?
Yes.
Mom doesn't eat it.
Nope. She's the Irish one.
Wow. That's all you need to know, I guess, at that point in time. I don't mind corned beef. I like corned beef.
That's cool.
I'm not making it tonight because I don't have time. But, anyway. All right, let's talk about what happened yesterday. We're going to take a deeper dive into Walker Buehler's outing in the next segment. But we have a lot of conversations still to be had about this Padres team and what happened in yesterday's game. And the biggest takeaway from yesterday's game, obviously, has been to me, was Walker Buehler. Because Buehler is trending up with his overall numbers. Yesterday, he went 5 innings, no earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 77 pitches, 45 strikes. That is the best he has been all camp, correct? Anybody disagree with that?
Nope.
No. Okay. He allowed 3 hits, 2 walks, 1 hit batter. So he gave away 3 free passes. That's obviously needs to be corrected. Can't be giving away a lot of free passes. I just watched USD Baseball do that over the weekend. There's nothing that can stop a walk.
By the way, I just saw hold on. Let's
Squirrel.
Thank you.
I saw Jake Waters in the chat say, I was in Chicago for the river turning / dying green. The amount of Irish food and alcohol was amazing. That is my favorite line in any movie is from The Fugitive when they're running through Chicago and they're like, they spend all this time and money to turn the river green for one day. Can they not dye it blue for the other 364?
So like the brown that it is?
Yes. Anyway.
Squirrel.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad you brought that up. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, back to what we were talking about. Walker Buehler, 5 innings, no runs, 7 strikeouts, 77 pitches, 3 hits, 2 walks, 1 hit batter. Again, eliminate as many of the free passes as possible because there's no defensive shift or anything you could do that's going to stop a walk. Can't be walking people. Now, this is the best outing of his spring for sure. And he's building towards a full workload, and he could be the anchor early in the season for this team because of a lot of different stuff for the Padres rotation. So, Walker Buehler, from a guy that was being a potential player that's just going to fill in the rotation, see if he can make the team, he's all of a sudden going to be a guy that they're going to rely on here in the first couple weeks, if not month of the season. But you know what, Frank? He's earned it based on how he's pitched.
Yeah, he absolutely has. And this is something that we were a little bit concerned about with him starting to throw so late into camp as he did. But he has been very, very solid. He had that first shaky outing again, had to sit for like a half hour to 40 minutes between innings, but still he has been absolutely fantastic ever since then. So he's followed the trend of what the guys that you would expect to make this roster have followed. Shaky first outing and then good from there on out. And he has only gotten better. 77 pitches though. That's the big one to me. That to me shows that he's ready to go on the opening day roster.
We're going to hear from Walker, and we're going to break down his pitching in the next segment. Now, in terms of the position players and the battles for the bench pieces, I don't think Miguel Andujar is really battling for a spot on this team. I think Miguel Andujar is battling for extra playing time. Obviously, Manny Machado not being in the lineup because he is with the Dominican Republic, and hopefully is. I don't know what the stat. We'll ask Sam when those guys are getting back. But Miguel Andujar has had an opportunity now to play some third base. He was 0 for 2 yesterday with a sac fly. temporary starter at third base while Manny has been out. He's competing for a bench role. Bryce Johnson is starting to emerge now as a favorite to make this team. I already thought he was a favorite to make this team at the beginning part of spring. I think with Sungmoon Song potentially being hurt, I think that opens up the door for a Jose Miranda, Ty France. But I think it's going to be very hard for the Padres to cut Bryce Johnson for everything that he does. 1 for 3 yesterday, another RBI, but the big performance was the diving catch in right field that really saved Walker Buehler and protected that shutout for Walker Buehler, at least putting up a 0 in the earned run spot. He is a very strong candidate for a backup outfield job, but and his defense and situational hitting have definitely stood out. Plus, he's a switch hitter. I mean, Bryce Johnson's playing his way on this team. Not that he needed to do a big leap of that, but he brings a lot of intangibles to this Padres roster that they don't have.
Yeah, and he's trying to beat out one of the infielders, whether it be Ty France or Jose Miranda, who we'll talk about a little bit later on. But yeah, that catch yesterday, which it just popped up on my Twitter feed now as we were talking about it, was a big catch, a Fernando-esque catch. Went out, dove for it, didn't care about the consequences, and made a big play. All he knew was runner on third, 2 out. I got to go get this, otherwise we're down. And it was a huge play for him.
And that's the type of play that you want out of an outfielder late in the game, right? And here's how I phrase this. So when we've talked about this, about Bryce Johnson being a fourth outfielder, we've discussed the fact that Bryce Johnson is not necessarily a better player or fielder than the 3 current outfielders. But that being said, with the knowledge that Nick Castellanos is going to get some starts in the outfield for days off, and they're having Sungmoon Song get some outfield reps, and Miguel Andujar. So there's other players. Gavin Sheets has gotten some reps in the outfield. Frank, they might do that for They might do that for the starting lineup for some games throughout the season to get guys off their legs. And you know what they're not going to do with those players? And I'm talking about Ramon, Jackson, and Fernando. They're not going to put them back in the game late, which means you kind of still need that fourth outfielder to come into the game late for Nick Castellanos in the last couple innings, for a Gavin Sheets, for maybe a Sungmoon Song, somebody that you want to be out there defensively. And I think that brings a lot to the table, more than a guy like Ty France or a guy like Jose Miranda, to potentially make this club, on top of the fact that the guy's a switch hitter. Oh, and by the way, if you need a pinch runner in a game, there's nobody on this bench that you would take over Bryce Johnson.
No, absolutely. We've been saying this. We've been banging the drum for Bryce Johnson for the last couple of weeks, and now it is being made a little bit harder by how well both Ty France and Jose Miranda have played. But he was one of those guys that, much like Camposano, we thought that his position on this bench was locked, and it was really one bench spot that we were looking for. And he kind of reminded you yesterday why we thought 3 of the 4 bench pieces were locked going into spring training this year.
And again, the injury of Sungmoon Song and maybe him starting in the minor leagues, I think, is the window to get Ty France on this team. Ty France is getting a lot of starts. He's starting a lot more than Jose Miranda is, especially in these lineups at home where you get most of the stars to play. Mm-hmm. He's in those lineups. And I think they're giving him an inside track to potentially make this team, which it's going to get, again, it's a difficult conversation with some of these deals. Now, core players are still ramping up. I mean, Jackson Merrill's had a pretty good spring. He was 0 for 3 yesterday with a strikeout. Don't really care. Xander Bogaerts has had some pretty good elite competition in the WBC. He was 0 for 2 yesterday with a walk and a strikeout. They're still building up their timing and everything like that. I mean, they're just, at this point in time, the stars on this team, they're pushing through camp right now, right? They're just pushing through spring training. Yep. I'm not worried about any of the position players in terms of guys that are going to be on this team that you're paying a lot of money to be on this team. Bullpen and depth arms, Jeremiah Estrada, scoreless inning, still has a 0 ERA. Jackson Wolf, 2 innings, 1 earned run. Pretty good. Jackson Wolf's another guy. Remember? Young arm, came up with the Padres, got traded away. He's now back with the Padres. Ty Adcock, injury return. First outing. That was his first outing since February of 28th. allowed leadoff triple, escaped with a scoreless inning. So like to see him battle with guys on base, back in the bullpen mix. Bullpen is definitely going to be an interesting conversation. Obviously, the defensive highlights, Bryce Johnson, diving catch, saves a run. Luis Campusano threw out a runner on a double steal, which is good to see. And we're going to talk about Luis Campusano later on in the show. Obviously, his bat hasn't been very good. He's hitting a $148. I don't worry too much about Luis Campusano, but it would be nice to get him going because of how much the guy's ranked in AAA and how unproductive he's been in the last couple of years at the major league level. And if he's going to be the backup catcher, it'd be better. It's better off for the Padres that he hits 200 or better. I mean, he can't hit under 200 because it's not like, you would tolerate that with a guy like Austin Hedges because he was so elite behind the plate. Mm-hmm. Luis Campusano is not elite behind the plate. He's okay behind the plate. He's not great behind the plate. He's okay. He's on the team to hit. He can't be hitting under 200. He just can't. So the big takeaways from yesterday's game, rotation stability hinges on Walker Buehler's form and what he's going to be. He's kind of the swingman in that rotation because now Randy Vasquez, who's had a great spring, is down in the 3 spot. Walker Buehler's probably in the 4. Don't know what you're going to get out of the 5 yet. Armand Marquez today is going to be very telling. Bench spots are still wide open for this team. Bullpen depth is still improved. I mean, the bullpen depth is great on this team. And again, the core hitters, not necessarily locked. They're not in regular season form yet, but I don't know if they're going to get to that point. And we've seen enough of the upside out of guys like Cronenworth and Bogarts and Jackson Merrill that it's not overly concerning. I don't think that, it's one day yesterday, so it's not crazy. What were the metrics of Walker Buehler, and why do we think he has been changed here in a Padres uniform? I think you're going to get 2021 Walker Buehler just without the fastball in 2026. And the question of, do we think Walker Buehler is not what he's been the last couple of years? And do we think he can continue that in 2026? We're going to discuss that when we come back. Because if Walker Buehler looks like this completely changes the ceiling of the Padres rotation. I'll explain next on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. San Diego High School sports had a huge week, and one story grabbed national attention. Cathedral Catholic star Honor Falave Johnson announced his college commitment in style. The 5-star recruit hosted a full commitment party in downtown San Diego with about 125 people in attendance, complete with a DJ, food, and a live broadcast. When it came time to reveal his decision, he grabbed an Oregon hat, tossed it aside, then pulled out a sword and put on a USC Trojans hat. The crowd erupted. Falave Johnson rushed for more than 1,200 yards last season and averaged nearly 10 yards per carry while helping Cathedral Catholic reach the state championship game. He'll likely play safety at USC, but the Trojans are also considering offensive packages for the explosive playmaker. The scary part, San Diego fans still get one more season of him at Cathedral Catholic before he heads to college football, since he is only going to be a senior in the fall. San Diego High School sports delivered another packed week, and there are storylines popping up all over the country, from new football coaching challenge in East County to a massive college commitment announcement, the strong early season showings in baseball and track. And let's start on the football side, where Sid Reed is taking over the program at El Cajon Valley, and he's inheriting one of the toughest rebuilds in the county.
Yeah, absolutely. Reed has had solid success at San Diego High, reaching the CIF semifinals in the last 2 seasons. But his new job is a completely different challenge. El Cajon Valley hasn't had a winning season in 20 years and went 2-8 last year. Reed says he's focused on bringing structure, leadership, and a family atmosphere to the program. And sometimes it's exactly what struggling programs need, not just wins, but culture. And if he can turn that program around even slightly, it could become one of the best turnaround stories in San Diego high school football next year. It's
going to be difficult. I mean, they're trying to do what Jason Texler did way back in the day when they had El Cajon Valley win like 12 games, 12 wins for El Cajon Valley that year. They have been really a struggling program for a long period of time now. But major college commitment, of course, one of the biggest recruiting announcements in the country happened this week is Cathedral Catholic star Honor Falave Johnson committed to USC. And the way he did it was obviously memorable. Full commitment party, hats from 6 powerhouse programs on the table, and then a dramatic reveal with the USC sword before putting on the Trojans hat. Falave Johnson was last season's CIF San Diego Section Offensive Player of the Year, rushing for more than 1,200 yards and nearly 10 yards per carry. He'll likely play safety at USC, but could see offensive packages as well. And Cathedral Catholic fans will get one more season to watch him before he heads to the Pac-12 powerhouse USC, which is now the Big Ten powerhouse in the USC Trojans. But that old school pipeline between San Diego running backs, San Diego players, and USC continues with Honor Falave Johnson.
Yeah, and congratulations to him getting the full party. I got to see him last year against, oh goodness, who was it at Southwestern?
Carlsbad.
That was Carlsbad. He really is a special player and a player that your eye is always drawn to whenever he is on the field. So very much big time congratulations to Honor Falave Johnson and his family.
On the diamond, speaking of Cathedral Catholic, the Dons look like the early team to beat in San Diego. They took down Granite Hills, who is ranked number 2 in the county, 12-3 on a run rule in what was essentially the Hilltop Lolitas Tournament championship game. Lineup pounded out 16 hits, and the pitching staff had shut down innings late. Even more impressive, the team has 10 players already committed to 4-year colleges, including schools like Princeton, Stanford, Arizona State, and UCSD. That's the kind of depth that wins championships.
Yeah, I wonder who wrote this update today. It was actually me.
It wasn't me at all.
I put the update together. But yeah, another strong start for another Cathedral Catholic program and a great opening to a baseball season.
Yeah, I watched them play against San Marcos the other day. They looked pretty good. A lot of fundamental things that they got to clean up a little bit, but it was fun to watch Shohei Darvish pitch for Cathedral Catholic. He has really upped his velo. He is one of the commitments that is going to UCSD. But what's going on in track?
Track season is also heating up with El Capitan hurdler Spencer Chastang is emerging as one of the athletes to watch. He swept both hurdle events and the Don Jones Invitation at the Don Jones Invitational, and is now chasing school records in both the 110 hurdles and the 300 hurdles. He's also hoping to reach the state meet this year after narrowly missing out last year. So a big weekend for Spencer out of El Cap.
Yeah, and the other thing too is like you see that national attention for San Diego athletes. We're seeing it more and more. Obviously, it starts with this week with Honor Falave Johnson being on the front page of ESPN.com for his commitment. That was obviously huge. But you start looking at all the athletes that you see, not only in professional sports but college sports, between nationally televised commitments, major recruiting attention, elite athletes chasing state titles. Spotlight on San Diego talent's getting bigger every year.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I've had enough of the big voice guy at this point in time. This is like like throwback to elementary and middle school when teachers try to like pronounce your name and it's just never accurate.
We're just gonna put one massive squirrel on this whole segment.
Yeah. I want to say that all guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. We're going to break down Walker Buehler's outing yesterday from an analytics standpoint very shortly. But I have to say, now this was off my radar because I was listening to Ben and Woods on the way in this morning. And when I got out of my car at the commercial break, apparently, as we were told in the chat by Death by Palm Tree in the YouTube chat, our promo for Baja Ricks, well, let's just say I wasn't invited to Baja Ricks at this point in time. And some guy named Brandon was. So we're going to be broadcasting live at Baja Ricks on Thursday for opening day. And the promo we ran says, well, Frank, what did it say?
This is the one that you guys heard an hour ago.
Live from Baja Ricks Cantina starting at 6 a.m. with Ben and Woods, followed by Braden Surprenant.
Who's that? I don't know who that is. I don't have a cousin named Brandon. I don't have any relatives named Brandon. I don't know. That sounds like every other situation where I show up to first day of class and you wait it out and it's like, Brandon, at least. So I went to the same school from kindergarten through 8th grade. I went to St. Michael's in Poway. Okay. After a couple of years, it's the same 60 kids. Okay. So I knew the Brandons in the class or the Brendans. And so like when the teacher would go through, it's like, all right, well, we've passed Brendan Crowley. So if they say Brandon down near the S's, it's probably me. I could probably be like, it's Braden. That was the easy part. Now, in college, it was a little bit different. I'm like, I don't know these people in this class. Is there somebody in here named Brandon? Because that would always happen. Is Brandon here? Brandon? And then I'd raise my hand and be like,
Braden.
My name's Braden. Is your last name Smith? No. No, it's not.
Close.
He's like, well, I guess there's a Brandon Smith missing today. So if you were a Brandon in my class that didn't show up to the first day, hated you even more because then I had to wait through because I didn't want to get marked absent. I already had to wake up early in the morning. And a lot of the college classes, you get points for the school for the school, for your class just by showing up. So anyway. Brandon is not my Irish twin because Braden is Irish. That's the only thing Irish about me is my first name. All right, so we got it flagged, right?
Mm-hmm.
We got it flagged. Adam keeps showing his phone to me, and he has not texted me.
I guess
there it is.
I guess they've got it right.
All right, so they finally got the correct spot. All right, so but I want to, okay, so we were told that it was a mispronunciation. Fine. Happens all the time. I get called Brandon all the time, but it's not my name. My name is Braden. There's no N, no extra N in the middle there. That's why I love the bit that all these new Bradens get spelled their name wrong. No B-R-A-I, no B-R-A-Y, no B-R-A-E. They spell their name wrong. So anyway, Adam comes in.
You're in the bathroom, and Adam comes in here with a bleep-eating grin.
Hold on. Before that, Adam comes in here and apologizes and goes like, hey, we're working on fixing it right now. And there's a couple other things that they needed to fix with the promo. He's like, we sent it off. We're getting a new one back. Then later on today, I went to the bathroom and that's when Adam stepped in.
And Adam comes in with a bleep-eating grin and says, Frank, check your email. I'm like, oh no, what am I getting now? He's like, if you want to continue this, because we've had a couple of these already redone and sent back, and it gets worse.
It's worse. So we got these other spots back. Let's get to the first updated spot. Again, we're going to be live at Baja Rick's on opening day. Ben and Woods will start it off, and then I'm supposed to be there second, but they gotta get the name right.
Live from Baja Rick's Cantina starting at 6 a.m. with Ben and Woods, followed by Braden Surprenant.
So then they didn't change the first name. It's still Brandon, and then they butchered the last name. It's like, oh, well, maybe the last name's wrong because it can't be the first name. Surprenant. You know what? I will say, for my cousins in East County that go by Surprenant, they're probably like, finally. Finally. They go by a different pronunciation. Surprenant. My dad changed the name because he didn't want to be called Supernut as a kid. So we are the Surprenants. My cousins are the Supernuts. My Grossmont College teacher said Supernut, and I was like, you know what? He's probably taught my cousins before, so I'm just gonna.
I'm not gonna repeat too hard, dude.
Plus, I'm only here for a semester. I don't really. It's not that big of a deal. Okay, so where's the? No, didn't get it.
So we're on strike 2 right now.
Foul 2, actually.
Yep, foul,
That's 2 fouls. Big voice guy's about to foul out. All right, no, that didn't work. You got to try it again. Send me another one.
Live at Baja Rick's Cantina starting at 6 a.m. with Ben and Woods, followed by Braden Surprenant.
Excuse me? This is worse than a Starbucks cup. They got the last name right that time. So we're back to Surprenant, but they're like, no, it's not Brandon. Get rid of the N. Oh, Braden.
Got it.
No. It would be 2 Ds. No, it's not Braden.
Oh, my God, dude.
It's not. Oh, my God. It's not. Strike 3. Foul number 3. Where's the fouls?
He draws the foul.
Third personal, third team foul for all the big voice guys. No, Smash, you don't think we didn't do that? Come on, man. Smash the numbers in the chat. Just spell it out phonetically. We did. That's what makes this even funnier. All right.
Fourth time
try.
lucky, baby.
Fourth try. Let's try it again.
Fourth time lucky. Let's see.
Live at Baja Rick's Cantina starting at 6 a.m. with Ben and Woods, followed by Braden Surprenant.
Hey! Wow! Round of applause. All right.
God,
All right. Money. Finally. I think it's ready for air now. This is why as a kid I never corrected people all the time for like the name. I was just so over it. But this is also why, like, I feel that this is also why as a broadcaster, when I ask for kids' names to get it right, you can just call me this. No. How is your name supposed to be pronounced? That's what I want to say. That's what I want to get right. Like, we have been now. It brings up Nate DeShriver is his name. He pitches for USD. He put on his pronunciation guide DeShiver. It's spelled with an R in there. He basically takes the R out, and it's like, what is the R silent? What? That doesn't make any sense. It's like, how do you pronounce this kid's name? Is it DeShriver? Because it says DeShiver. And Anderson, our SID, is like, well, he put DeShiver on his thing, so that's what we're going to go with. And we're like, that doesn't seem right. I don't know why the R there would be silent. And then we finally asked him the other day, he's like, oh, yeah, no, that's wrong. It's DeShriver. And he's like, oh, I must put a type. I didn't put the R in the phonetic spelling. I want to get it right. This is why it's so funny. The brand. You know what? Thanks to Death by Palm Tree for pointing that out, by the way. So we had Braden Surprenant. We had Braden Surprenant. We had Braden Surprenant. And then they finally got it right.
I feel the pain, too, because I've heard
at least
my
your first
last
name is easy.
I've heard my last name pronounced 20 different ways growing up. So I feel the pain.
Yeah, I the Surprenant is one, just say it the way it's spelled. Makes it easy. When it's the Brandon over the Braden thing, it's always just like, I've become numb to it, to be honest with you.
Yep.
But anyway.
I know that feeling very well.
So my friend, her friends call me in their group text Brad because there's two they're dating. There's two Bradens in the pool there.
Okay, so you're number 2. Got it.
Which is BS because my name's actually spelled correctly. And the other kid's name is not spelled correctly. And I'm older than him. So but that's even more like...
Right, but you were number 2 to the group. You're the one that's going to get the name screwed up.
Or you could just call him the guy that's not smart enough to spell his name correctly. That might be a little bit long in the text, but I'm just saying, call me the OG spelling. Nobody spells their name with a Y. And if they do, it's wrong. All right.
Okay. SD in the chat. I'm assuming is it Vogenthaler or Vogenthaler? Thaler, sorry. Vogenthaler. My first instinct when I read that is Vogenthaler.
I'd go Vogenthaler. Vog, because it's 2 G's. I'd go Vogenthaler. That is brutal, though. You know what I also don't like about while we're on the pronunciation for stuff? I know it's hard. As a broadcaster, I have to do it. I have gotten, by the way, we have a lot of Samoan families as part of our football team. I have picked up how to pronounce a lot of Samoan names, which is very difficult to do. But my pet peeve with some of these pronunciation guides that we get from schools is they will give me the pronunciation guide for Smith, but they will not give me the pronunciation guide for, try to think of a name off the top of my head. I don't want to say Falave. That's easy to say.
Vogenthaler? That's how you pronounce that?
Vogenthaler. Interesting. No, but they would give me like Smith, but then they would not give me Lauifi Tufaga. It's like, how am I supposed to know how to say that? I don't know how to say that. I want to get the names right. I told you the story about the whatever. What school was that? I don't even remember the school. Oh, it was Pepperdine. Pepperdine's SID got mad at me for using her pronunciation guide properly. The girl's name on the team. The girl's name on the team was Falk.
Yeah.
It was spelled like Marshall Falk.
Mm-hmm.
It's Falk. She put on the pronunciation guide Falk.
Bro.
Which is Falk. Like the ambulance company that's got the contract with the city here, right? Falk. You see it all the time. It's called Falk. They got Falcon as their logo.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, the name looks like Falk, but the pronunciation guy says Falk. So I called her Falk for like until the first time out. And then she comes over in a bitchy way and goes like, why are you calling her Falk? Nobody's ever called her Falk. Why would you call her Falk? Stop calling her Falk. And I'm like, okay, what? I'm like, the pronunciation guide says Falk. She was like, no, it doesn't. It says, sorry, Falk. She just say, pronunciation guide says Falk. Why are you calling her Falk? Her name's Falk. And I go, because it says Falk. She's like, that says Falk. I'm like, no, that's not how you phonetically spell Falk. Just leave it Falk. You should have been Falk, like Marshall. You're in San Diego. Like, that's why you say the name. Come on. I was like, I'm not getting in an argument with some girl that's the SID for Pepperdine, but I was like, are you kidding me? You put Falk on there and you thought like, oh, that's Falk. No, it's not. Give me a break. Pet peeve of mine, some of the pronunciation.
Didn't we just go through this? Didn't we just see somebody, you texted me that some guy, some player wanted his name pronounced a certain way, and we're like, yes, this is Adam Schefter.
It was
with Travis Achan.
Yeah, his name's Achan. But he didn't. But that was my whole thing with Bradley Rodriguez. It's like, how long are we going to go with it? You have to correct it early.
Yes.
And Travis Etienne Jr. went to Clemson and kept telling people at Clemson that his name is Achan, and they just would call him Etienne. And so he just let them call him Etienne. And then he was called Travis Etienne Jr. in Jacksonville. That's what all the broadcasters call him. Everybody calls him that. He signs with New Orleans, and he goes, my name's actually Achan. Brother, I'm going to need you to tell me immediately what your name is.
Like I said.
Especially when he got to the NFL. I mean, when he got to the NFL, that's when they should have told Roger Goodell, and he could have said it, and then everybody would have been like, oh, wow, Roger Goodell butchered another name, and he would have had it right.
Again, we had this conversation also with Ronher Suarez. Everyone's been calling him Ranger his entire major league career, and then he slips it. Then he just slips it in in passing in his introductory presser for the Red Sox. It's like, yeah, my name is actually pronounced Ronher. Well, then say that, dude.
Say it. I agree. Say it. Absolutely. The pronunciation guides. The other thing too, and I know we got to take a break. As a broadcaster, this is going to be a pet peeve that nobody really cares about. As a broadcaster, when the SID comes over, I just, every time they go oh, you got any questions for me? I'm like, yeah, what kind of storylines do you want me to highlight the most for the team, right? What are some of the things? Let me sell, I'm here to sell the team, right? As a neutral broadcaster.
Oh, I don't know.
I did that with Pacific. Because every time it's do you want to go over pronunciations? I have the pronunciation guide. I don't need to go over pronunciations. What do you want to tell me about your team? And the guy from Pacific was like, it's already in the game notes. I work really hard on those. I'm like, it's 50 pages.
Yeah, I know. Dude.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. I've read the 50 page. What specifically do you want for this game?
Yeah, if you could highlight one or two things from the game notes that you really want me to hammer home, what would those be? Because I really doubt you want me to keep pounding home the fact that you guys play next to the water, which might be something in the game notes. I don't know. because I can pound that for like 2 hours if you want me to. What is something that you want me to focus on?
It's so simple. It's in the game notes. You can't just rattle off like two things up top. You've been watching this team the entire year. You just can't be like, oh, yeah, this, and this. It's great. Anyway, how did Walker Buehler do inside the analytics? Why do we think he's going to increase the ceiling for this rotation? We'll explain next on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Urban Sports Station 97 through the Fan. If you want proof that motorsports is in the middle of a generational shift, look no further than this weekend. In NASCAR, 45-year-old Denny Hamlin just picked up his 61st career win at Las Vegas after losing the championship last year and dealing with personal tragedy in the offseason. Hamlin fought through a speeding penalty, passed the field again, led 134 laps, and reminded everyone the old guard isn't going anywhere. But in Formula One, the future just arrived. 19-year-old Kimi Antonelli won the Chinese Grand Prix for Mercedes, becoming one of the youngest winners in F1 history. The teenager took the lead on lap 2 and never looked back. And in IndyCar, Kyle Kirkwood made one of the boldest passes of the season to beat three-time champion Alex Palou and take the championship lead. So here's the big question. Are we seeing the next generation take over motorsports, or are the veterans about to remind everyone that experience still wins races? It was a weekend across motorsports where the two themes stood out: experience refusing to fade and youth taking over the future of racing.
Yep. In NASCAR, a veteran proved he still had it. Formula One, a teenager shocked the grid. And in IndyCar, a championship fight is already heating up, and it's just 3 races into the season.
Let's get you caught up on the biggest motorsports stories of the week. In NASCAR, Denny Hamlin still hunting wins. In the NASCAR Cup Series, Denny Hamlin reminded everyone why he's one of the best to ever do it. 45-year-old driver picked up his 61st career win at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, putting him 10th on NASCAR's all-time wins list, alongside legends like Richard Petty, Jeff Gordon, and Dale Earnhardt ahead of him. What makes this win even more remarkable is what Hamlin has gone through recently. He lost the championship in heartbreaking fashion last November at Phoenix Raceway, and shortly after that, his father passed away following a house fire that also critically injured his mother. And in a shoulder injury and the grind of a 20-year career, many drivers would have walked away. Instead, Hamlin fought through a speeding penalty Sunday, passed nearly the entire field again, led 134 laps, and took the win.
Yeah, at 45 years old, he's still proving. The old saying of racing is that old dogs can definitely still hunt. And that is a laundry list of things that he has gone through over the last 5 months, and really only said that he's still racing because he is under contract. And it's not fair to his team owner, Joe Gibbs, to have to find a guy on such short notice. Is really the only reason why he's stayed in the car, especially after losing the championship at Phoenix last year. So, I mean, it was a rough go for him. He's the sentimental favorite last year. He's going to be again this year, and he's picking up right where he left off.
Let's move on to Formula One, where a teenager won it in Shanghai. The future might have arrived sooner than expected in Formula racing. 19-year-old Kimi Antonelli captured his first Formula One victory at the Chinese Grand Prix. Young Mercedes driver had already made headlines by becoming the youngest pole sitter in F1 history earlier in the weekend. But the race itself wasn't easy. Briefly lost the lead to Lewis Hamilton at the start before taking it back on lap 2 and never looking back.
Yeah, Antonelli finished 5.5 seconds ahead of teammate George Russell, who won the sprint race the day before. Hamilton grabbed third, marking his first Grand Prix podium since joining Ferrari. He did win the sprint race in China last year, but counting full races, this is his first podium. Biggest headline, though, Formula One may have found its next superstar, and Kimi Antonelli has been in the Mercedes system ever since he was 14 years old. In his second year, raced last year with Mercedes. He is a very, very talented young kid. And if he's already getting in the equipment that he's in at this age and already getting wins, it is going to be a very, very scary future coming up.
Let's talk about IndyCar. Out in Texas, in Arlington, at the Java House Grand Prix, the inaugural Java House Grand Prix in Arlington. It was Kyle Kirkwood, chasing down three-time defending champion Alex Palou after the final round of pit stops. Then on lap 55, he made a bold move inside turn 13 to take the lead, a move Palou later called impressive.
Yeah, it's a very, very tight corner, turn 13, and he was able to really commit and stick in there and make that move work. That win also gives Kirkwood the IndyCar Championship lead after 3 races. And even more impressive than that is Andretti Global placed 3 drivers inside the top 4, showing that they might be the team to beat this year after years of dominance from the Penske and Ganassi guys.
What to watch next? Across the motorsports world, momentum is starting to build early in the season. In NASCAR, Hamlin's win signals that the veteran could still be a championship threat late in his career. Formula One heads deeper into its early season stretch, where the big question is whether Antonelli's breakout win is a one-off or the beginning of a new era. And an IndyCar will resume racing in a couple of weeks at Barber Motorsports Park, where the championship battle could get even tighter. But for you, Frank, what are you looking out for coming up this next weekend in racing?
NASCAR is going to be, I'm not sure. I cannot remember where.
Coming up in about 19 minutes or so.
An hour and 19 minutes. Sorry, that just came down this break.
He's going to be at 1 now?
Yes, Sam will be at 1 o'clock.
Foul on Sam. What are we doing, Sam? What are we doing, dude?
We destroy the whole flow of the show, bro.
I know, man. When everything was all built out and stuff like that. Why? What's going on?
The fact that we've gotten to next to nothing that we had built out already,
It's okay. We're going to get to that later.
There's always.
Why did he have to switch? What's going on?
I have no idea. He said he needed to switch and suggested 1 o'clock. I'm like, okay.
Right before the Padre game starts?
Not right before, right as.
Yes. Well, hey, 1:10, dude.
Oh, they are in Peoria.
Yeah, they're
playing Seattle.
They're playing Seattle. Yeah.
I don't know.
Road game in Peoria. Take that for what it's worth.
Classic road game at home.
All right, let's talk about Walker Buehler. All right, so an hour and 18 minutes, we'll have Sam Levitt on. We will go into college basketball then in the noon hour, the noon lunchtime hour, if you will. All right, let's get to the situation at hand with Walker Buehler and what he did yesterday, mixed in with some what he has done so far this spring. Okay, so we have had some pitching breakdowns of Walker Buehler so far this spring, and that is courtesy of a couple of different websites. But before we look at exactly how Walker Buehler's pitch profile was yesterday, let's hear from Walker Buehler about the start he had yesterday and what was his best start of the spring. Here's Walker Buehler postgame.
Hold on. Because Twitter is such a good website that it works on demand like that, Here we go.
Walker had it field today, 5 scoreless innings, had to work out of trouble a couple of times, but seemed like the results were pretty good.
Yeah, Campy and I I think he did a really, really good job implementing the game plan that we kind of come up with. And, good to kind of use all the pitches. Changeup was really good today, something we've been working on. So, all in all, really good day.
Speaking of the pitch mix, you talked last time about wanting to use the fastball a little bit more. You did that today. Was that part of the game plan?
Yeah, I mean, kind of use it or lose it situation. I would love to throw it 100, as I've said a million times, but, we got to use it a little bit more selectively than we used to. And, my strengths are on the outside of the ball and spinning it. So new slider has really helped out as well. So kind of 2 new mid-speed pitches that are kind of putting some more pressure on guys to kind of choose hard or soft.
With the 2 new pitches, how different are they from what you used to throw in the past? Are they minor tweaks? Or
you know what? I don't know if I've thrown the same changeup or same slider for a whole season in my career. I've always been a tinker with those 2. They just don't come quite as naturally to my hand as some of the other ones. And I didn't throw much sweeper last year. My elbow just wasn't in a position to do it. So really, it's 3 new throws that are a lot more familiar in 21. Those were all big throws for me, and so getting the sweeper back, getting a changeup that I feel like I can throw kind of to right and to left. If you don't throw that hard, I feel like the more weapons you can take out there with you, the more comfortable you can be and try and get through games without having to double up a lot of stuff. And all in all, I feel good.
2024, we talked about how you kind of reinvented yourself as a pitcher. Is that an evolving process for you constantly?
Yeah, it's hard, man. I think the way I pitched for a lot of years was very fastball heavy. And so, I could just hide a lot of this stuff, and I could make one good slider throw to each guy every at bat and have a decent chance to get him out or strike him out. So, now having to kind of mix and match and guys are going to see the same pitch multiple times, I think is kind of a new thing for me, but something that, when I was young, I remember in high school, the draft, I was always a pitchability guy. And so kind of getting back to that and kind of the way I pitch in college, to be honest, I think is something that's in there. It's just, now my delivery and elbow are in a spot that my hand gets in a decently the same spot every time and can kind of actually know what's going to happen out of my hand.
How are you feeling with what you went through?
It sucks, man. The second Tommy John's horrific. And obviously, the timing of mine in terms of my career was really tough. But, I'm just happy to be in a place where I can wake up, my elbow doesn't hurt, and go play catch without worrying too much about it. So, all in all, happy to be playing professional baseball and hoping to help this team this year.
That's Walker Buehler after his outing yesterday. 5 innings, no runs, 7 strikeouts. He had 11 whiffs on his pitches, a 31% CSV, which is a called strike or whiff percentage on 77 pitches. And this is another great line. He has improved in terms of his results over every one of his starts in the spring, but he's out there dominating and having a dominant outing again, not just a clean box score. And the big difference is, the report of what he had done with his pitch mix. Now, his stuff is not in a position of blow you off the page anymore. It's just not. If you look at the grades from PLV, they give him a C for his stuff. They give him a C- for his location. They give him a D+ for their own ranking. But the results grade, they gave him a B. I mean, he dominated without his elite raw stuff grades, which is important because he's winning with his pitch mix, his sequencing, and his deception, not overpowering tools. And that's the new pitcher that Walker Buehler is. You look at his fastball. His fastball is still not missing bats. It comes in at 93.3 miles an hour, 0% whiff rate yesterday, 80 stuff plus, which is well below average in Major League Baseball. And it confirms a trend across all his starts. The fastball is not a weapon right now for Walker Buehler anymore, at least the 4-seam fastball. It did have a 36% called strike whiff rate, which means it's getting called strikes, which is good. And what this does is it now helps set up everything else for Walker Buehler. Now, his secondary arsenal is carrying him right now. And this is why I think you're seeing a different Walker Buehler in 2026 than you've seen at any point of his career. Love the fact that he doesn't have any pain in his elbow right now. And I love the fact that he's trying to reinvent himself to try to stay relevant and try to continue to play Major League Baseball. He doesn't want his career to end at age 31 or whatever it may be. So he's got to go with his secondary arsenal, and that's carrying him right now. This is where it really gets interesting. His best pitches this start, which was yesterday, was his changeup. He said it in his postgame. He really liked the way his changeup worked yesterday. 30% whiff rate, 50% called strike whiff, which is elite for a changeup, and it had a 102 stuff plus, which means it was a little bit better than an average changeup in Major League Baseball. And this became a true out pitch that he used against lefties. His curveball, 27% whiff rate. He had a 36% called strike whiff on his curveball. Consistent swing and miss out of that breaking action. His cutter, 23% whiff rate, 31% called strike whiff. Quietly one of his most effective pitches. We've seen a lot of his sweeper so far in camp, and his sweeper, 121 on stuff plus. That's an elite level for his sweeper. Lower whiff this game at 12%, but still his best pure stuff pitch. And that's the pitch that he's really been dominant on. And the thing is, we talked about it after his first start. He made a couple of tweaks to his sweeper. He has said it's a new pitch. He also said it might be one of his old pitches. And after his first start, Frank, our conversation was, well, maybe hitters haven't seen it enough. This is start number 3 now, and that continues to be his elite pitch. And that's the pitch that he's going to have be dominant, I think, in 2026.
Yeah, he's clearly turning into a sinker or a splitter pitcher. So that's good that he's able to adjust and realize on the fly what he has. I think, what does that say? Through like 7 different pitches yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he's mixing it up. He's realizing he doesn't have that overpowering fastball now, and he's trying to become and trying to mentally get to the point where he is, I am a mix it up pinpoint pitcher now, and I'm not just going to be able to blow people away anymore like I used to be able to.
Now let's take a negative of yesterday and put it into a positive. The negative yesterday was his command wasn't very good. He had got a D grade for his command against left-handed pitching or left-handed hitting. He got a C+ grade against right-handed batters with his command, which is interesting because he didn't locate great overall, but still dominated in a lot of different categories, which reinforces that his stuff played yesterday and his sequencing worked. I mean, you look at his pitch mix shift that Frank was talking about. More sliders yesterday than we've seen in earlier starts. He threw that 29% of the time yesterday. More curveball usage against the left-handed batters. Changeup increased to 13%. That actually was one of his better pitches as well. And his sinker was reduced, which is interesting because his sinker, he threw a lot in his second outing, and yesterday was more fastballs than it was sinkers. So he's obviously trying to figure out what works in real time. Now, let's talk about what actually worked this start and simplify it even more. Not the reason he succeeded yesterday was his fastball velo, obviously, his overpowering stuff, obviously, and his perfect command, because he didn't have great command yesterday. He doesn't have overpowering stuff, and his fastball velo was at 93. But the real reasons why he had success yesterday, multiple secondary pitches were working. Hitters still couldn't sit on one pitch in their approach. And the elite pitch mix balance was huge, which leads to swing and miss spread across his arsenal. I mean, Walker Buehler's last outing might have been his most impressive from a results-based setting of the spring, but not for the reasons, obviously, you would think. The velocity is still sitting around 93, and the fastball actually didn't generate a single swing and miss, but the advanced data shows he dominated because of his pitch mix, his changeup, his cutter, his curveball, all generated strong swing and miss rates, and he kept hitters completely off balance. This is a version of Walker Buehler that's evolving, not overpowering hitters, but out-pitching them. And that's the type of pitcher you're going to see in 2026. And to be honest with you, Frank, that fits in as a number 4 starter on this team and maybe even a number 3.
Yeah, it could very well be. And I think yesterday's performance, at least from the numbers perspective, like the straight up stats, got people to buy into the fact that he is going to make this team. I think the Padres may have known for a while now, but I think yesterday's performance really solidified the fact in the mind of the fan base that he is going to be here and he is going to be more or less solid as compared to what we expected when he first came into camp.
We're going to get to the sports thread in the next segment, but we're also going to put this start into the 3 starts that Walker Buehler has had in the spring and give you that full spring synopsis of what Walker Buehler has done and a big reason why he's making this team. Aside from the fact that Joe Musgrove's starting on the injured list, I think Walker Buehler was making this team now even if Joe Musgrove is starting the season healthy, because the way that he has pitched has generated a pretty good outline for the pitcher that he's going to be in 2026. And that is a pitcher that is going to be a guy that is going to raise the ceiling of this rotation. And I think really flip the over-under in terms of wins for this year. Not a lot of people outside of the Padres really believe Walker Buehler can help, but I think he's going to be able to help this rotation out tremendously. And we'll talk about the spring synopsis of Walker Buehler when we come back, as well as a look into the sports thread. That's coming up in the new lunchtime hour. Setting us home on Sports Station 97 through the Fan.
Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime years.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
New lunchtime hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by the Craft Taco. Bold flavors at 2 locations, Sorrento Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum.
I'm waiting for the tacos. Where the damn tacos at?
You know what? Maybe that's what you got to get. I think you got to get tacos, dude, since you don't want to have corned beef nor cabbage. Sounds like you have to make a trip to Craft Taco on the way home.
That is fair, yes.
There you go.
I will take a trip, potentially. Maybe.
Leave your car running in the
probably not.
loading zone.
Yeah.
Over there at Balboa Park. All right. In the new lunchtime hour, we're going to talk about Walker Buehler's full spring synopsis here in a second and get to the sports thread. But do want to get to the phone calls, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Brad and Escondido, been waiting on hold. Brad, what's going on?
Hey, boys, off to get a green beer and a burger.
Ah, nice. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Brad.
Thank you, man. Hey, 2 things. One, you saw my boy last night get the hit for Venezuela. We'll talk about our eyes down the future.
That's going to be the only time Brad roots against his Padres is when a Rise comes up in a Giants uniform.
That is true. That is true. And I love Walker Buehler. I think he'll be a great 4th starter. And when he walks on the mound, they got to play that video clip. Buehler. It would be great to see him walk up to
that. I'm sure that's what they'll do. Brad, appreciate the phone call. Enjoy the day, brother.
I will do that. Take care, boys.
That's going to be the only time Brad roots against his Padres when Luis Arraez comes to bat. If Brad and Escondido doesn't play fantasy baseball, he needs to draft. He has to have Luis Arraez on his team at this point in time. All right, let's talk about the full spring synopsis of Walker Buehler before we get to today's sports thread. So let's talk about the progression through the starts. In start 1, he was testing his stuff. A lot of breaking ball flashes. Velocity was okay. In start number 2, his sweeper emerged as a weapon. We saw it briefly in start 1, but then we really started to see it in start 2, and he really started to expand his pitch mix in start number 2. His command was a little uneven. And then his last start yesterday, full pitch mix working, multiple swing and miss pitches, and game plan execution improved, leading to the results that have caught up to the process that he has put in. And that was the best outing that we have seen out of Walker Buehler in spring training. So who is Walker Buehler right now? I've talked about it already enough today, but he's not the power pitcher anymore. So for anybody that hasn't watched some of the spring training games, haven't seen Walker Buehler pitch yet, you're getting ready for opening day. You're going to see him at some point in time, probably on the second series of the homestand against the Giants. You see Walker Buehler, he pumps up 93, and you're like, oh my God, what happened to Walker? That's not the pitcher he is anymore. He's becoming a pitchability, mix, and deception arm. And you need to think less blow it by you, Walker Buehler, and more you don't know what's coming, Walker Buehler. There are multiple ways to get hitters out to major league level. You know, I think Yu Darvish is a perfect example of this. Yu Darvish, when he first came through, blow it by you guy, and then he started to get crafty and be tricky with all these different pitches and execute those at a high level. And the last couple of years, obviously before he got hurt, that's the type of pitcher that Yu Darvish was. And I think Walker Buehler can be that type of pitcher now in his second stage of his career as a 30-year-old. Now, the defining trend across all reports that we have gotten on Walker Buehler from an analytical standpoint, velocity, stable, 92 to 93. Sweeper, elite stuff. Changeup curve has been emerging. Whiff rates increasing each outing. Pitch mix evolving. The only thing that we haven't seen, of course, is fastball is not dominant as it used to be. And it's just not. The one question, though, is can Walker Buehler succeed long-term without a dominant fastball? Because right now, it's more of a setup pitch, and it's not a finisher. He doesn't get a lot of swing and miss on that fastball right now. I think he can. I think he could be that type of pitcher. And you know what? He's not your ace. He's like your 4, really. Maybe a 5 when Griffin Canning comes back or when Joe Musgrove comes back. But the final takeaway from Walker Buehler so far this spring, and I don't know if he's going to he might make one more start. We don't know yet. And today's going to be a big day for Ramon Marquez. But Walker Buehler's spring shows a pitcher that's reinventing himself. I think that's the biggest takeaway from what Walker Buehler has done in a Padres uniform. The velocity hasn't fully returned, and the fastball isn't a swing and miss pitch right now. But the deeper pitch mix and improved secondary stuff are allowing him to get outs in a different way. By his last start, the results match the process. And that's the biggest sign he's trending toward being a reliable rotation arm again. And I think that's the reason why the Padres have not decided to sign Lucas Giolito. And I think it's a big reason why this Padres rotation is going to be better than what a lot of people outside of San Diego think it's going to be. So I think this version of Walker Buehler is going to be a solid addition to this rotation. Now, and here's the best part. Again, Frank, and we've talked about this. The best part is if it doesn't work out, it doesn't cost you anything. And you'll just move on to the next guy.
Mm-hmm. And you might have to do that anyway, especially because you're going to be in a spot where you're going to have both Griffin Canning and Joe Musgrove come back. There's your 5-man rotation right there with Musgrove, Canning, Pivetta, King, and Vasquez. So you're also going to be put in that spot a little bit later on. So you don't know. It'll be great to get everything you can out of Walker Buehler up until the time when you need to make those decisions.
I view Walker Buehler and Ramon Marquez extended tryouts for the first month.
Yes.
In reality. Like, I think I've seen enough out of Walker Buehler to be able to get that extended tryout. And I think the entire first month is the tryout to be on the team for the entire year. Because you're going to have to make a move when Griffin Canning comes back. And I think at some point you're going to get Joe Musgrove back. And that's another move you're going to have to make, unless there's an injury of some kind. But for Walker Buehler, there's no sigh of relief that he made the team. He's got to stay on this team at this point in time. And today is a big start for Ramon Marquez. I think he's going to be in the rotation come opening day, unless Tristan McKenzie really gives him a run here in the last couple of games whenever he pitches next. But at this point in time, like, it's his job to lose. And if Ramon Marquez has another outing like his last outing, I think that's more of a problem for the Padres more so than, Ramon Marquez not making the team. I think he's going to be on the team, but the Padres need him to be a little bit better than what he was in his last outing. But today will kind of determine that. All right, let's get to today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what we got going on today in the sports world?
Most of this is stories that we would have had yesterday since we didn't get to this yesterday. But the biggest one impacting college basketball right now,
Number 1,
would be that Aiden Holloway, a star guard for the Alabama Crimson Tide, was arrested on Monday on a felony drug charge just days before the NCAA tournament. Authorities say agents searching a residence near campus recovered more than a pound of marijuana along with cash and paraphernalia, leading to charges of first-degree possession of marijuana and failure to affix a tax stamp. Halloway, Alabama's second leading scorer at 16.8 points per game, played in the SEC tournament last week and was expected to be a key piece as the Tide prepare for their first-round matchup against my Hofstra Pride in Tampa Bay on Friday. With the tournament just days away, should Alabama suspend Holloway immediately or let the legal process play out before deciding his status for March Madness? Now, since then, since this was written, he has been kicked off of campus, I believe.
All right. So he got kicked off for, what do you have, like 2 pounds? He had 2 pounds of weed. That seems like a lot. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know anything about weed. I do not consume weed. It's legal in California. But it's different in other states. Remember Luis Camposano went through something like this in Georgia?
Oh, yeah.
And like the Padres got to help him out a little bit.
I remember that. Yeah.
But he had like an amount that was like legal in California, but it was never going to be legal in Georgia. So different rules, obviously. But 2.1 pounds of weed. That seems like a lot. I don't know what the
that feels like intent to distribute, honestly, because I can't see someone going through. I mean, I don't smoke either.
I don't know. I just know the state of Alabama probably does not like weed. So, yeah, he's off the team, I guess. The situation with a substance like weed that's legal in some states and not legal in others, really to me is like, I don't know how you evaluate that as a suspension or expulsion or whatever. If a player in California got caught with could you not? I'm sure every school's got
it depends on school
policies,
rules at that point. Yeah.
But it's like, if he had it for, if he's in a state where it's legal, I just don't know how you do so. It's hard to talk about something that's legal in certain states and not in other states about what the punishment should be. Like, is this kid doing something really wrong? 2.1 pounds of weed seems like something that's very wrong. But the biggest story here is how could you put yourself at this point in time in the position like that? Just be walking around with that stuff or in your car. That's kind of seems like a very dumb move.
Oh no.
What?
Jake.
Squirrel.
My flight to Salt Lake City was late. Delta was sending me push notifications for alternatives for missing the second leg. But just like Frank, I ran across Salt Lake City and now I'm sitting waiting for the second plane. Wow.
Delta.
How about
Told you, man.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Number 2.
I'm sure there'll be an investigation on whether or not that guy was selling.
Absolutely.
They have to wait for I'm surprised, as Nate Oates always gets called my cousin Vinny by John Rothstein.
Oh, God.
I don't know if it's because of, what's it because? Why does he call him that? That's all I got to ask. He was learning the metric system in kilos. Thanks, Squirrely.
The Kansas City Chiefs traded a 2027 sixth-round draft pick to the New York Jetropolitans for quarterback Justin Fields, giving Patrick Mahomes an experienced backup as he rehabs from knee surgery. Fields, who struggled during a disappointing season with the Jets, wanted to join Kansas City and will likely run the offense through OTAs and much of training camp while Mahomes works his way back. The Jets, who recently traded for Geno Smith, will pay $7 million of Fields' $10 million guaranteed salary, leaving the Chiefs responsible for anyone?
Buehler.
$3 million. Very good math. For Kansas City, the move fills a major depth hole behind Mahomes with a mobile quarterback who can operate Andy Reid's offense if needed to in the early season. Is Justin Fields the ideal insurance policy for Kansas City while Mahomes recovers, or could Kansas City unlock something bigger and actually revive Fields' career?
Well, they have the ability to do that with him hanging around and learning from Patrick Mahomes. Plus, they need somebody to play quarterback during the offseason when they do OTAs and mini camps and all that stuff. And, Mahomes is going to be unable to do a lot of those things. Plus, Mahomes trying to make the start the season on time will also be somewhat in flux as well. With his recovery time on his ACL and everything that he injured last season on that play. But I think it's a great move for Kansas City. You don't have to pay him a lot. Guy had a lot of upside coming out of college, before the Bears kind of ruined him. And, let's just see. You're not investing a lot. Sounds good. Jets needed to get rid of him because of they brought Geno Smith back. So there goes that quarterback controversy in New York. I think it's a win-win for both teams. I don't mind that trade.
Yeah, not a bad deal for them at all.
Number 3.
The National Football League Players Association is preparing to elect a new executive director this week here in San Diego, as a matter of fact, as the union tries to stabilize after a year of controversy following the resignation of Lloyd Howell. The finalists would be interim director David White, former NFLPA president J.C. Tretter, friend of the show, American Athletic Conference Commissioner Tim Pernetti.
Wow.
Will present to the union's 32-player board before a vote expected midweek here in San Diego. The decision comes at a pivotal time for players in the National Football League, as the National Football League pushes for major changes, including an 18-game regular season, more international games, and future collective bargaining negotiations. With the NFL pushing for an 18-game season and more global expansion, how important is it for the Players Association to get this leadership hire right? And should players trust a former player like J.C. Tretter or someone with broader union experience instead?
What'd you say? You said former player? Is that the first thing you said? Yeah. I would rather have somebody that has union experience than a former player at this point in time, because the NFL has got the worst players association. Absolutely the worst players association. And, so that's kind of the direction. I don't know how they would fix said players. They got the worst cut of the deal for any professional athlete.
Yep.
Their career, the average career is 3 to 5 years. They don't make generational wealth in this particular sport in comparison to what the sport generates as a whole, and they put their bodies on the line each and every day. They literally got the worst end of the stick when it comes to players and contracts. They need a better union that can help them get out of these things.
Good luck, friend of the show, Tim Pernetti, on that possible heck of a promotion that he'd be getting.
Number 4.
I'm sure he'd be paid handsomely for that, though.
Last one. This one's more of a comedic effect here, this one. A scheduling standoff has left the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs football listed on 2 different conference schedules for next season. Both Conference USA and the Sun Belt released their football schedules this week that included Louisiana Tech, creating a bizarre scenario.
Yeah, the 20-game schedule they got.
Where the Bulldogs currently appear to have to play 20 games this season. The confusion stems from a dispute over Louisiana Tech's exit timeline from Conference USA after accepting a Sun Belt invitation, leading the University of Louisiana's system to file a lawsuit seeking approval to leave the conference by July 1st of this year. When conference realignment disputes get messy, should leagues force schools to honor their original timelines, or should the programs be able to leave early if they're willing to pay an exit fee?
Some of the questions you ask just get so long that I don't hear the whole thing. What did you say?
Should they be forced to honor the original contract, or should the conferences let them leave if they're willing to pay an exit fee?
Well, they should have to honor the contract, but I kind of agree to both. They should if they are willing to pay an exit fee, they should let them leave. There should be a fee in there to get you out of this.
Mm-hmm.
There's always money to pay to get you out of this. If you go to future football schedules, go to fbschedules.com. You can find Louisiana Tech's football schedule. It's 20 deep. It's hilarious. September 5th, they're going to play the Northwestern State Demons. September 12th, they're at LSU. September 19th, they're at Baylor. September 26th, they got Mid-Tennessee Blue Raiders. Saturday, October 3rd, they got the Army Black Knights. And then in 5 days, they play FIU on the road. And then 2 days after that, they play the Ragin' Cajuns of Louisiana. And then 4 days after that, they got Missouri State. Then 3 days after that, they got Louisiana Monroe. 4 days later, they got Liberty. 3 days later, they got Old Dominion. I mean, they're playing Wednesdays. They're playing Saturdays. They got double headers. I mean, things are going to get rough for them on November 7th because they got to be at Jacksonville State and at Troy. I didn't know they're doing a split squad, but they're doing a split squad that day.
Both in Alabama, too. It might make travel
a little bit easier, yeah.
Same thing with Kentucky. They got to play 2 road games. They got to go to Bowling Green, Kentucky to play the Hilltoppers. And then they have to be in Statesboro, Georgia
to take on Georgia Southern.
Georgia Southern.
They have 2 split squad games on a couple of double headers.
All we're saying is, if you love Louisiana Tech football, boy, you're going to see a lot of it this year.
My guy, Sonny Cumbie, dude, head coach of the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs, offensive coordinator when I was at TCU. Sonny, you got a lot of games you got to get ready for this year. That's hilarious. I just looking at that schedule so far, 20 deep, multiple doubleheaders, games on Wednesdays and Saturdays, Thursdays, Saturdays. Can't wait. All right, we got to take a break. I love college sports. I love and hate college sports at the same time. All right, when we come back, a new rule coming to the minor leagues. Could it be coming to Major League Baseball? I love all these new rules. We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan.
Major League Volleyball brings the action to San Diego.
We got big news in the NBA. The league is moving toward expansion for the first time in nearly 20 years. Seattle is back, bringing the Supersonics franchise home after 2 decades, and Las Vegas finally gets its own team, building on its booming summer league and pro sports scene. Expansion fees could hit $7 to $10 billion per team, meaning current owners could each receive around $500 million in addition to what they usually get from just the deal. Seattle and Las Vegas would join the Western Conference, forcing one team, likely the Minnesota Timberwolves, to move east to balance the schedule. Expansion drafts, salary caps, and draft positioning will give new teams a fair shot without handing them an unfair advantage. Meanwhile, the New York Knicks are climbing the ranking with the league's best defense. Denver is struggling, and Minnesota is on fire with Anthony Edwards. The big question, though, will expansion reshape the NBA hierarchy before these new teams even play, or will the current powerhouses hold their ground? The NBA making headlines this week, and it's not just about playoff races. Expansion officially back on the table.
Yeah, according to ESPN's
Shams Sharana.
Thank you. The Board of Governors will vote next week to explore adding Seattle and Las Vegas as franchises in the NBA for the 2028-2029 season. So it's still a couple years away, a move that could reshape the league in profound ways. Seattle returns nearly 20 years after losing the Supersonics to Oklahoma City, while Vegas, already in the league's unofficial 21st city, thanks to the booming summer league and pro sports presence, finally gets an NBA team. Economically, it makes sense for owners. Expansion fees could hit $7 to $10 billion. It's billion with a B per team, which could mean roughly $500 million per current owner. I would call that incentive, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's a massive incentive. Now, while the vote next week isn't binding, insiders expect expansion to be a near certainty, with a formal approval likely coming at the July Board of Governors meeting during the Las Vegas Summer League. Players won't have a say in the process, but they'll likely welcome the extra roster spots. If the 2 new Western Conference teams are added, one existing team will have to move east to balance the 17-15 split. Minnesota is the most likely candidate given its geography and relative isolation from other Western teams. The league will also carefully craft the expansion draft, salary cap restrictions, and draft positioning to make new teams competitive without giving them an unfair advantage, like the NHL made the mistake with the Vegas Golden Knights.
Well, it's not even that they made the mistake with the Vegas Golden Knights. It was just the process, and they took advantage of that process. You get the pick of the litter from each team, plus you get a decent, a relatively competitive draft pick in the process. So they just did it better than anyone else.
Well, they had to change the rules for Seattle after, because they didn't protect enough of the players that they got to draft an all-star team. So yeah, they're going to try to prevent that issue from happening again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And also another thing, you don't have as many positions available in the NBA. You don't have as many positions on the court. You do have as many positions on the court. You don't have as many positions on the bench as that's where I was going with that, or inside the organization. So they're not going to be able to pick from every single team in the league. And the draft only being 2 rounds as compared to 6 in the NHL, there's going to be some differences to it.
Past expansion drafts from Toronto and Vancouver in 1995 to Charlotte in 2004 show us that new teams can be competitive if they use the draft wisely. Expansion teams have reduced salary caps in their first 2 years, about 2/3 of existing team caps, but that gradually scales to parity by year 3. Meanwhile, the NBA season continues to deliver some drama. New York Knicks are back in the top 5 with the league's best defense since mid-January. Denver struggling to find consistency, and the Minnesota Timberwolves are quietly red hot with Anthony Edwards leading the way.
Yeah, with the playoff race heating up and expansion on the horizon, the NBA is really at a fascinating crossroads. I mean, how does that shape up? How does the playoff hunt shape up? And the NBA has had a very, very rough year. This could be on the way to changing that image.
The expansion is interesting with the NBA. How much more do they want to expand? I mean, that's a lot of money right there to accept some expansion teams. And with the you don't need a lot of players to fill out a roster. I wonder how big the NBA really wants to get. And on top of that, with the NBA expanding, Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk has thrown out the idea of when is the NFL going to follow suit, which is funny because the NBA is still trying to catch up to the amount of teams that the NFL has. But I digress from that. We are looking for any type of expansion here, whether it be NBA, NHL, NFL. The more sports in San Diego, the better it would be here in town. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. We're getting to a segment right now that is very interesting, and it's some changes that are coming to minor league baseball. And are these rules potentially going to show up in Major League Baseball? There's 5 rules, as highlighted in an article by The Athletic, that are going to be in Major League Baseball this year. Minor League Baseball this year. Major League Baseball is once again using the minor leagues as a laboratory for major rule changes. But this time, the ideas are more aggressive, more controversial, and far less guaranteed to ever reach the big leagues. And the key theme from all of these rules, as we read this article, baseball is actively trying to manufacture more action, steals, pace, contact, but at what cost to the tradition of the game and to the integrity of the game is the big question. So here are some of the rules. Rule number 1, experiment number 1 they have down in the minor leagues. They are going to move second base. Why? They are going to move second base. So it's bizarre, but they're going to move second base, and it will be moved to its geometrically correct position.
What?
So it's going to be approximately 9 inches closer to first and third, and shorter distance for easier stolen bases.
Right, but the only way you can move second base closer to both is if you move it in, which means it'll be closer to the catcher, which means it'll be just as easy to throw people out, would it not?
Well, it should be, yeah. So I guess I'm trying to picture
the only way you can move, you can't move it towards first base because then you're moving it farther from third. Same thing, vice versa. So the only thing you can do is move it in,
right? Because
to bring it closer to everything.
All right, so this is what they said. Okay, so this is exactly from the article to try to explain this better. Did you know that for more than 100 years, second base has been located in the wrong place? I didn't know that. Despite what you learned in Little League, the second base has never been 90 feet from first or third base.
Don't you think somebody would have noticed that by now?
But I guess that's the deal, because it flunked geometry. Imagine the infield is a perfectly symmetrical diamond, okay? If you then draw an imaginary line around the infield, first base and third base are in the perfect spot in the respective corners of that diamond. Okay, that makes sense. 90 feet. Second base, on the other hand, is not. basically it's halfway inside and halfway outside that imaginary diamond. So that's about to change in the International League at least. So in the International League, they're moving second base.
So basically what you're saying is the center of the bag is 90 feet is the perfect spot. So they're looking to move it the whole base inside the bag, inside the diamond. Because that's what that sounds like. If you're saying it's half in, half out, that means that to me at least means the point of the diamond, the middle of the base is at 90 feet.
I'm trying to figure out exactly where they have the graphic that they have on there. The diagram doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of like
awesome
which one is current and which one's the one they're going to move to. I think the one they're moving to is lining up the bases better, or maybe it's not, but I don't know. Beginning of the second half of the season, the second base bag will move to its rightful spot in the corner of the imaginary diamond. That means it will be closer to home plate, but more importantly, it'll also be about 9 inches closer to both first and third base bags and 13.5 inches closer than it was before the rule change increased the size of the bases. Okay, so the original distance is 88 feet and 1.5 inches. The distance with the larger bases is 87 feet, 9 inches, and now the new distance is 87 feet. That's what it is.
Okay.
So it drops a foot and 1.5 inches. Apparently they wrote a huge article on this where I could probably break it down and have it make a lot more sense. But they're essentially moving it closer. So they're going to move second base. It's going to actually be in the position it's supposed to be in, and it's not actually 90 feet. So the goal 3 years ago, MLB introduced rule changes designed to inspire big leaguers to start stealing more bases. It worked great for a while, but last year the league saw a decrease in stolen base attempts and success rate. So the hope, obviously, is that if the distance between the bases gets shorter, it will rev up the running game, but that's not the only experiment they're trotting out for that particular deal. So they're going to move the base at second.
But again, that makes the distance from home plate to second base shorter too.
Right. They said that. It makes it, I think, a whole foot shorter or something, which makes it easier to throw.
Yeah, it makes it easier to throw them out.
So I don't necessarily know if that's really doing anything, but they're changing the field layout to create offense. That's the biggest portion of this before we get into the weeds of where exactly the base is located. And to me, I think this is what I'm against. This is why I was against the shift. So I'm against the pitch clock. So I'm against a lot of these things. They are changing the rules to artificially inflate certain numbers instead of just fixing the problems at hand of, oh, maybe we should have these guys try to contact more. Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe we should have these guys pitch the contact more. No, we don't want to do that. We like strikeouts and home runs. Let's adjust everything else about the game to get a result that we want. And that's where I disagree with some of the rules that they've implemented. Yeah, it's made the game faster, but there's other ways to make the game faster. Putting the ball in play, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I am in favor of putting the ball in play. I get that, right? Or sorry, slowing or speeding the game up. I like that. You want more action. Okay, cool. The artificial way of doing it, though, is where I'm like, okay, this is going a little bit too far. Now, there's other rules with this that we got to get to. We got to take a break, but that's just rule one. There's 4 other rules that they want to change in the minor leagues that might be coming to Major League Baseball. We'll talk about that when we come back. Six basketball team finished 22-11 and reached the Mountain West Championship game and ranked inside the top 50 in every major metric. But when the bracket came out, San Diego State wasn't in it. Instead, the final at-large spots went to power conference teams like Texas and NC State, even though some of those teams finished the season barely above 500 in conference play. And this isn't random. This year, the SEC sent 10 teams to the tournament. The Big Ten sent 9, and mid-majors like the Mountain West got squeezed down to basically one bid. So here's the real question. Is the NCAA tournament still about the best teams, or is it becoming about the biggest conferences and the most money? Because if a program like San Diego State, which played for a national championship just 2 seasons ago, can't get into the bracket, that might tell us everything about where college basketball is heading. San Diego State's season came to an abrupt end Sunday when the Aztecs were officially left off of the the NCAA tournament field as they finished 21-11 and reached the Mountain West Championship game, ranked 47 in the net, 48 in Ken Palm, but it wasn't enough to earn an at-large bid.
No, it wasn't. Instead, the last 4 spots went to North Carolina State, Texas, SMU, and Miami, Miami of Ohio. Head coach Brian Dutcher confirmed that San Diego State would not accept an NIT or any other postseason invitation, citing injuries and the team's NCAA or bust mentality, which is the right decision, as we said on the show on Monday.
Yeah, the decision ends a streak of 5 straight NCAA tournament appearances for the Aztecs. Several factors worked against San Diego State. Injuries to key players late in the year, losing 4 of their final 5 regular season games, falling short in the conference championship, and perhaps most importantly, the growing bias towards power conferences. This year, the SEC sent 10 teams. The Big Ten sent 9. Mid-major programs like San Diego State were squeezed out. It's another example of how money and conference power are reshaping college basketball. Now, the counterbalance is San Diego State women's basketball still dancing. Well, sort of. While the men are done, the Aztecs women's basketball team is still playing. They earned a bid to the Women's Basketball Invitation Tournament, where they'll host UC Irvine women's basketball. Now, they won't be able to host that at San Diego State because San Diego State is hosting the NCAA tournament for men's basketball. Instead, they will be at the Jenny Craig Pavilion on the campus of the University of San Diego. But they finished 25-5 at dominated the Mountain West Conference regular season with a 19-1 record. But unfortunately, they don't go to the NCAA tournament because they lost in the first round of the conference tournament.
Yeah, that loss to Air Force was really, really bad for them as far as making the women's college basketball tournament. Now, if the Aztecs do win that opener, as we had mentioned, against UC Irvine, they could face Texas A&M in the next round. So while the men's season is over, the women still do have a chance to make a postseason run.
Yeah, the Aztecs win their opener. They could face Texas A&M, as you mentioned, Frank, and in the next round. So it's an opportunity for them to be able to play against some good competition and continue their season and really reward the women's team with more games for, after their season came to an abrupt halt. So good for the women's team in the season that they had over there on the Mesa. As for Aztec baseball and softball, on the baseball side of things, the Aztecs open Mountain West play with a series win over Washington State. Highlight came in a wild 15-10 rubber match victory where the Aztecs exploded for 19 hits. Key moments included a grand slam from Max Farrell, 4 hits from Anthony Marnell IV, and a 5-run 7th inning to seal the win.
Yeah, absolutely. Now the Aztecs currently sit at 11-7, 2-1 in conference play, and are set to face USC on the road here coming up in the next couple of days. So the baseball team starting to get things together, still just over 500, but had a very, very good weekend.
Yeah, USC had just lost their first game of the weekend to Northwestern. Before that, they're the last team remaining undefeated in college baseball, but they had to play in the snow against Northwestern.
Yes.
I guess that's the repercussions they have for leaving the Pac-12 conference. Have fun playing conference games in the snow now in Chicago. But the Aztecs will play USC later this week. Meanwhile, Aztec softball took the series from Colorado State to start their conference play campaign. After dropping the opener, Aztecs responded with back-to-back wins, including a 2-0 shutout to clinch the series.
Yeah, absolutely. Pitching staff was dominant, allowed just 3 runs over 27 innings during the week. With a 0.78 ERA. That is absolutely fantastic for any team, whether it be baseball or softball.
Biggest takeaway this week for college basketball that affects the Aztecs is the changing of the landscape of college basketball. I mean, the Aztecs built a national reputation over the past decade, including a 2023 national championship game appearance, yet still got squeezed out of the tournament bubble. It raises a real question. Is the NCAA tournament still rewarding the best teams or simply the biggest conferences? Because if the 22-win team that finished second in a strong mid-major can't get in, the system may be shifting more than fans realize. Something more to pay attention to later on as we see Aztecs basketball move to the Pac-12 next season. Need a contestant for a midday sports standoff. You can take me down in sports trivia. You'd be qualified for a chance to win our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, and a $150 resort credit. March is here, and Fontainebleau, Las Vegas is the place to catch every game. High energy watch parties with expansive screens, great food and drinks, exclusive room rates, plus the pools and day club are open. Book your stay today at FontainebleauLasVegas.com. Now, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Try to get a contestant for that. In the meantime, let's talk about some of these minor league baseball rule changes that might be implemented one day in Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is using the minor leagues to test out some rules. So the one that we talked about a little bit in the last segment, I'll kind of recap, was moving second base. So baseball is experimenting with moving second base slightly closer to first and third, which is happening in the minor leagues only for now. And the goal is to increase stolen bases and more aggressive base running. Since 1887, second base has geometrically been misaligned. First and third base sit on the corners of the diamond, positioned to help umpires with fair and foul calls. So if you're to draw a diamond, like a baseball diamond, right? You would put the bags inside the corners of the diamond, just like home plate is inside the corner of the bottom of the diamond, right? Does that make sense? So first and third are inside the corner of that diamond. So if you drew a diamond out or a square, whatever, all the bases would fit perfectly inside the square. Well, right now, second base does not fit perfectly inside the square. Second base is marked where the center of the bag is on the corner of the square of that particular corner of the diamond, if that makes sense. So what they're doing is they're going to move the base from center point of that corner to completely inside the baseball diamond if you were to draw a diamond in front of you right now. Right? So if that makes sense. I think that makes sense. I get it now. So, I mean, it did for a second, but now it makes more sense because the graph they showed on the page was confusing. So second base is placed with the corner running through the middle of the bag. That's what it is right now, meaning it is actually too deep in the infield. So the results are the base paths are not truly 90 feet, corner to corner. The distance from first to second and second to third have always been slightly off. It's not 90 feet. Second base, currently, the bases should sit in the corner of each square, but right now it's positioned slightly behind the true center. So what they're doing is they're moving the bag in about 13 and a half inches closer to first and third base. It's moving it close. They're moving the bag closer to home plate. So the edge of the base will align with the true geometric corner of the infield diamond. So now the new effective distance is actually 87 feet. What is also changing in this rule is the bases are also going from 15 inches to 18 inches. So even shorter distance between the bags, they're trying to increase more stolen bases. Okay, so they're going to do it in the minor leagues, and they're going to do it the second half of the season in the International League.
So this is really quick. This is Marchese math class here. This is basically what
that's what
it looks like right now. So you got home plate on the bottom, first and third are inside, and then you have second base with the middle point. Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Why can't they just correct the 90-foot distance? I don't know, dude. Math. You would think baseball players would be good at math at this point. Early results in some minor league tests so far. Stolen base success rate.
97.3. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
We can hear you in the air. Stolen base success rate 74.8% to 77%. Attempts didn't increase much, but teams weren't emphasizing it yet. With teams now aware of the change, hopefully get more aggressive usage. That's the goal for the moving of the base. We're going to get to the midday sports standoff in a little bit. The other rule here. Okay, so that's they're moving second base in the International League. Another rule that they are implementing in the minor leagues is limiting pickoffs, disengagement. So what is changing is AA pitchers in the AA, because this is going to happen in AA pitchers are going to go from 2 disengagements down to 1. So right now in Major League Baseball, you get 2 disengagements, and then on the third one, if it's a failed pickoff attempt, automatic balk. Well, now they're cutting that down to just 2. They're cutting that from 2 disengagements to 1. So on the second disengagement, it is now an automatic balk, and that's to force pitchers to stop controlling the running game and encourage aggressive base stealing. And what this does is it gives base runners a massive advantage, puts pitchers under immediate pressure. To me, what exactly are we trying to accomplish with this? I mean, are they going to get to a point where they want stolen bases in the game so bad that you're not allowed to try to pick off anymore? I mean, only getting one pickoff is a joke in general, but they're moving second base in, Frank, and they're eliminating the amount of times you can pick off the first base. What are we doing? I get what they're trying to accomplish, but artificially trying to make it happen, I don't think is going to make the game better. But who knows? I don't know. I don't really like this rule, to be honest with you. I mean, it's going to be great for teams that have speed. You're just going to send guys all the time. I mean, it's going to be like playing on MLB The Show. It's like, good luck. You're never going to get me.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
It's so forced. It really is. It's unfortunate that this is where baseball is going. And we'll probably get to it a little bit later, but the reasoning for doing this is because the games have gotten longer again.
Oh, yeah, so long.
Wait until you hear how long these games have gotten on average.
Experiment number 3 of a rule change down in the minor leagues. I don't mind this one. It is the robot check swings. Now, this is one of the biggest philosophical shifts, and what's new is technology tracks bat angle. 45-degree angle threshold defines a swing. Players can challenge calls using ABS challenges. So far, with the early results, strikeout rate has dropped 3% in low A testing. But the issue is 45 degrees is more lenient than current MLB standards. Many swings currently called strikes would now be balls. And, are we improving the accuracy or completely redefining what a swing is? I don't mind the idea of robot check swings because the umpires currently are not in a position to accurately judge a check swing.
No, and
where they're positioned, the cameras actually have a better angle than the umpires.
Yes, I agree with that. And I always thought, now it was just a basic rule of thumb. I know there was no set rule, but if the head of the bat broke the plane of the plate, that was where the check swing, not a check swing was for the guys down the line. I know that wasn't a rule, an official written down rule.
Judgment of whether or not you thought he offered at the ball is what the judgment was.
Yes.
So whatever the umpire thought was a swing is which is so vague. The problem, the worst rules in sports
are the vague,
are the objective ones.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're getting into a situation where you're like, it's like a judge sport where you're giving out points for things. It just doesn't. Those are always the controversial rules of sports are subjective ones, right? Sorry, subjective rules. So the subjective rules, and this particular rule being subjective is tough. But now, at least to me, you got to put in a rule before you have a robot.
Yeah,
determine whether or not it's a swing or not.
Bat head breaks the plane of the plate, strike. It's a swing. Period. That's what everyone goes by anyway. At least mentally, everyone goes by. Well, it broke the plane of the plate, so there it is. But you need to have a place. You can't just say, 45 degrees, there it is.
Right.
You can't just say that. It needs to be a physical, tangible thing that people can see. You can't see a 45-degree angle, but you can see breaking the plane of the plate.
Let's get to the fourth rule change in the minor leagues. Pitch clock crackdown. MLB believes players are gaming the system. I mean, I could tell you that in college. I mean, they don't have disengagement rules in college. So what does a pitcher do with 2 seconds on the pitch clock? He just steps off.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Batters can call a timeout, all that stuff. So the new rules include no batter timeouts in low A. You cannot ask for time as a batter in low A this year. Limited timeouts in high A. Faster clock restarts in the upper minors. Pitch comm malfunctions count as mound visits now.
That's not right.
But, you could always pretend there's a pitch comm problem to get out of a pitch clock crackdown. I mean, if you're gonna have a pitch clock, you can't have loopholes to get out of the pitch clock. Otherwise, there's no point of the clock. Catchers can't reset defenses without the clock running, and mound visits are now timed in the minor leagues. Why? Because the games got longer again, from average of 2:36 to the average of 2 hours and 38 minutes. It went up by 2 minutes.
We got 120 seconds longer, and baseball said, no, we can't have this.
No, this is too long. This is too much. People are going to watch this. Now, the league is wanting to eliminate stall tactics. I get that from the league's perspective, but this is why this game is hard to enforce clock rules. Because there's so much to the game that relies on not having a clock. And this is why you're trying to artificially create things instead of just letting the game do it itself. You want more offense? Guess what? Offense creates longer games because it takes longer to get outs when you're scoring runs. You can't have it both ways. And Major League Baseball, to me, has continued to try to have their cake and eat it too. Again, these are all minor league rules. Last one for you. Experiment number 5. This, I think, is a joke. It's low levels only because it's a development league. Starters can re-enter games. Pitchers can be pulled mid-inning, then return the next inning. They're trying to do this to protect young arms from overuse. Strictly developmental, not expected to reach Major League Baseball. I still, at this point, go, what are we even doing? Why are we having minor league baseball not play baseball?
Exactly. It's
seriously. We got to get to the midday sports stand-up.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, he's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
All right, Frank, who we got playing today?
We have Richard in Poway playing today. Richard, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How you guys doing?
Good. So today we're continuing our Padre opening day lineup guesses. Petco Park opened in 2004, but it wasn't until 2006 when they actually opened up the season at Petco Park. What was the Padres opening day lineup in 2006? Richard, you have the first guess.
Was it who played first base?
I have to go kind of quick here. You only got about 2 minutes.
Khalil Green.
Khalil Green was the shortstop that day, yes. Batting 7th. Batting 6th, sorry.
Adrian Gonzalez was the first baseman.
Batting 5th, Adrian Gonzalez. Richard.
Who's left field? It wasn't Giles. That's too old.
No, Giles is in right.
Ryan Giles was in right.
Oh.
He was batting 3rd.
I think this is the one year that Eric Young Sr. was on the team. He had a good year in a Padre uniform. He played left.
Yep, he was the starting left fielder.
You're killing me, Braden. Here we
go. We found the big voice guy. It's Richard and Poway.
I was just kidding. Who was catching?
I have a guess.
Donald Blank. Who's pitching?
I'm going to have to buzz. I'm going to have to buzz you here, Richard. We're running up on time.
Number 44, Jake Peavy started that game.
Jake Peavy was the starter, batting 9th.
Need an answer.
I'm hoping time runs out so I win automatically.
Oh, you're down now.
Got to get another one.
No, you already said Adrian. Who's second? Rojas? I don't know.
Nope, unfortunately not. Braden?
Center field. Dave Roberts was on that team.
Yes, he was. Roberts leading off.
All right, so we have the outfield.
You got to get this one, Richard. We catcher, second and third base.
Well, I'm just going to say my favorite third baseman, Kim Caminetti, but I know that's not right.
Yeah, no.
Was Burrow still playing third?
All right, Richard. I'm sorry. Well, no. Mike Piazza was your catcher, batting fourth.
Piazza was a catcher.
Vinny Castilla at third. Josh Barfield, your second baseman.
Wow. I thought Bard was playing behind the deck. I forgot Piazza was on the team that year. That was a good one. It's tough.
First ever opening day home run at Petco Park, Mike Piazza.
Mike Piazza. R.I.P. Team Italy.
1 o'clock, broadcasting live at the Bill House Studios. We know how. It's that time to get to our spring training coverage with Sam Levitt, which is brought to you by David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorneys, helping good people regain control of their future since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. He joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not big bank banking. It's better. All right, Sam, what's the it's got to be hot out there right now, dude, because it's hot here. And I heard Tony was telling Gwen and Chris, telling Chris and Scraby are going to be joining you guys at the end of the week, that this is a rough week for them to come out to visit.
Yeah, it is. I think I saw 106, 107 by the time we get to the weekend. So it is hot. It's already hot. I mean, just standing outside in the sun, you're sweating and you need the sunscreen, and it is not typical spring training weather. I think I've said this to you before, but it feels like the last few years out here, we've had the opposite, where there's been an early stretch where it's cold and you've got to wear your jacket and a beanie, and it's the total opposite. So it's been a very, very hot spring training now for, I would say, about like 2.5 weeks, and it's only getting hotter. So it's about time to get out of here in less than a week, just in time with it warming up to, from what I saw, historic records. I mean, this seems, and I watched the news really briefly, like this is like historic for this time of year. So yeah, not great. 106, 107 in mid-March.
No, it's definitely not. It's very warm. I've never seen a March in San Diego, and I know you've been in Arizona, where we have had this many clear skies. I mean, it's usually cloudy and gloomy and rainy and not fun, but it's 91 degrees out here. So it's a little bit on the warmer side, which gets you hyped up for summer, obviously, which means Padres baseball is definitely in full force. Let's talk about starting pitching to kind of get things started. Walker Buehler yesterday, great results-wise. Again, not the dominant pitcher he used to be in terms of fastball and some of the power pitching, but it looks like he's really reinvented himself and is taking that with some pride about his changeup, his knuckle curve, the sweeper that's been so dominant. I mean, Walker Buehler has earned his way on this team by being a different version of himself, and their Padres are going to have to lean on that here in the first couple months of the season.
Well, I think a few thoughts on him. Number one, you're exactly right. This is sort of the reinvention of Walker Buehler that we're seeing. Now, the major question is going to be, can that new version get guys out consistently at the major league level? And I think we're going to find out, and I think we're going to find out in a Padres uniform, because it certainly seems to be trending that way. But I think the biggest thing for Walker, beyond even working with Ruben Niebla and this pitching group that has done so many great things for guys kind of like him in a position where they're trying to hit a next level. And obviously Buehler's situation is a little bit different because he had so much early success and he threw so hard. But even beyond that, I think the most important thing, Braden, is that he's healthy. I mean, his elbow is allowing him to do things and pitch in ways that he has simply not been able to do in the last couple of years after that second Tommy John surgery. And it's not like he's out there throwing 89 miles per hour. I mean, his fastball's still at 93, 94. He has a lot of different weapons that he can go to. He's got some new things that he's incorporating, as you alluded to. And I just am intrigued by the idea of a guy who has had a lot of success in the past, is sort of reinventing himself. The idea that that guy maybe is entering the second half, or at least a new chapter of his career, and can be successful. Not that he's going to go win a Cy Young this year. I don't think anybody's saying that, but can this guy be a solid back end starter for you? I do think it's possible, and I'm encouraged by his health, what he said, the process this spring, the idea that he's working with such an elite pitching group in Ruben Niebla, Ben Fritz, and their staff. I just think it's a very, very intriguing storyline. And you know what? The results in the Cactus League have been pretty good, including yesterday. He's a guy, interestingly, and he talked about it yesterday, that coming out of high school and even when he was pitching at Vanderbilt, he was not always this high-octane guy. I mean, he was a little bit more based on pitchability, and it almost seems like he's reverting back to a version of his younger self, even before he was an LA Dodger. So again, just count me in on somebody who is intriguing, has had success, and I think with the right expectations is somebody that could really play a pretty interesting role on this team in 2026. And he's had a good spring, and I think certainly has played himself into the starting rotation, especially obviously with the loss of Joe here at the start of the year.
Yeah, with the loss of Joe at the start of this year, obviously that was the big news yesterday. Things were kind of trending in that direction over the last week or so. I was not overly surprised when the news officially got reported and Craig Stammen had mentioned something. But that being said, there was still an open job for the 5 spot anyway. So now that opens up another spot. We think Walker Buehler took the 4, and now it's the battle for the 5th spot in the rotation. And right now, it's German Marquez, who is about to get ready to pitch here in Peoria in a game against the Mariners. It's a guy like Matt Waldron, who still might start on the injured list because he's got to get ramped back up again after missing some time in spring training. Tristan McKenzie, JP Sears, who's throwing on it in a minor league game today. I mean, to me, where everything stands, it's kind of German Marquez's job to lose, but he really needs to have a pretty good outing, I think, today to really solidify that spot.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right in the head. I do think it's German Marquez's job to lose, but I think it would be nice for him to have a good outing today because the last one was not very good. He struggled to find it, did not have command. It has not been a great spring for him. Now, he's also a veteran. He's also had success. He's also on a major league deal. And if the situation at the start of the year is just, hey, here are 5 starters and that's how we're going to roll, then yes, I think the leaders in the clubhouse right now are Buehler and Marquez. I think the interesting part when you discuss Marquez in just the early part of the season with the rotation is with the off days built in, with the strength of this bullpen, and some of the personnel the Padres have, I think namely in a guy like a Kyle Hart, a guy like a Logan Gillespie, I do wonder if they will get more creative with that quote-unquote 5th spot in the rotation, at least until Joe comes back, than simply, adding a German Marquez and having him be the quote-unquote 5th starter. Because I do think there's a world where, hey, can you have an opener and have a guy like a Kyle Hart who's been really good this spring, have a guy like a Logan Gillespie who has been really good this spring aside from that last outing, which was not. But have those kinds of guys be bulk guys out of your bullpen, sort of piece it together for a little bit until hopefully Joe is ready to go. I do wonder if that'll be part of the equation, sort of leaning a little bit more into the depth of their pitching staff, their bullpen, rather than it just being Buehler and Marquez, and they're the 4 or 5 start of the year, and you see kind of how it shakes out. So I do think there's some optionality they have with the back end of the rotation, how they want to treat it at the very start of the year, considering the off days. Now, let's be clear, Braden, you're going to very quickly after a few weeks get to a part of the schedule where you're going to have 5 starting pitchers. So I'm not sitting here saying they're going to do this for weeks and weeks and weeks, but I do think at the very start of the year, could you see a little bit more creativity? Yeah. And I think the personnel would lend itself to that. So we'll see. It also could very well be it's Buehler and Marquez or Buehler and somebody else. Of course, the caveat with Marquez is that he's got to accept an assignment to the minor leagues if you don't put him on the roster. So we'll see. We've got a little time here to figure it out, but I'm generally with you that I do think today feels like kind of a big outing for German Marquez to show a little progress from what was not a very good start last time.
We're talking with Sam Levitt live in Peoria, Arizona, as the Padres are about to get underway against the Seattle Mariners. Going against Luis Castillo again. Last time that happened, the Padres put up a ton of runs against Luis. The wind was also blowing like 100 miles an hour out to the outfield, but that's new. Neither here nor there. I do want to ask you, Sam, about this. Now, what you brought up about the creativity Craig Stammen talked about, and then Kevin Acee wrote about it. And he wrote about a situation of like, oh, you maybe go 4 starters and then they carry an extra bullpen piece, and then kind of exactly what you just talked about. And in part of that conversation was, and mentioned with German Marquez, you have to like convince him to be part of the minor leagues without him opting out to go somewhere else. But the other part in that article that I thought was interesting was maybe Tristan McKenzie starting in the minor leagues, which leads to maybe he wouldn't get picked up if he had to go through waivers or whatever it may be, which I find to be interesting because that's not something that I had accounted for. What do you know about Tristan McKenzie? I mean, at this point, I mean, is that somebody they think they can sneak through and be part of the depth and learn how to grow more in AAA as he tries to reinvent himself? Or is this a situation where he's pitched at least well enough to maybe sneak it through?
Yeah, I think with McKenzie, I know the Padres really like the stuff. They really like the velocity. He's had trouble throwing strikes, and it has sounded like they need him to find the zone more than he has so far this spring. I don't think he's going to break camp with the team. Never say never. But I do think they're very intrigued by him. And you understand it. I mean, he's throwing pretty hard. He's got good stuff. He's had trouble throwing strikes. He certainly has had success in the major leagues before. I mean, there was a time where he was looking like he was going to be one of the next big starting pitchers in this game. And unfortunately, it didn't really pan out like that, at least to this point. To be honest with you, Braden, I have to go back and look. I thought, and I could be wrong on this, don't quote me, I thought they can send him down. Maybe Kevin's reporting was different on that. Well, we'll have to revisit that because I thought maybe that he's able to start in the minor leagues. But we'll revisit it. But assume it. Let's play in a world where he can. Then to me, it's a pretty easy scenario where, hey, you let him, pitch down at El Paso, and not a great place to pitch, obviously, but you let him pitch down there and kind of find his command. But I do think he's certainly somebody you could see at some point during the year because they're very high on the stuff and the velocity. It's been the throwing strikes part and the finding the plate part that's been the issue for McKenzie.
I think he might qualify for service time where he can opt out. But don't quote me on that. I thought
I know
he
Kevin
was
had
part
that
of
whole article, and I gotta find that. I could have sworn, but I could be wrong about that. It wasn't.
And also in both of our defenses, there's like 15 of these guys that have. Well, he can opt out for this, but he can't. Or minor league deal, non-minor league deal, out of options, has options. So I thought he was one of the guys that had to make the team to stay part of the organization, or he has the threat of leaving. The other one, too, is Matt Waldron, because he's out of options. I have a question for you on this, because this is just thinking out loud. Because, with Matt Waldron, is he a guy, this is just me thinking outside the box of the sense of, could you potentially sneak him through waivers because he's a knuckleball pitcher and, he's coming off of, this medical issue, right? They got to get him ramped up. And with being a knuckleballer, isn't he more valuable to a team like the Padres that have had him throw to catchers that have to catch a knuckleballer more so than if you're the Mariners, you're like, all right, well, we just picked up Matt Waldron. We think we can get the knuckleball working, but now we got to train this guy with a catcher, and our major league, Cal Raleigh would have to learn how to catch a knuckleball. Does that lead to a situation where maybe he can sneak through waivers more than we think? Because the reason Waldron's on a major league team is because his knuckleball. It's not because of his other stuff. Yeah. And you have to have a catcher be able to catch it. I mean, think about how hard it is for the Padres catchers to deal with the knuckleball. And now we're going to train our catchers in the middle, as the season starts, to get up to speed on a knuckleball. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. Now, I will tell you, I think Matt and I think others would disagree with you that the knuckleball is the only reason that he's got a shot, because the view on Matt, I think his view of himself is that he is a pitcher that happens to have a knuckleball, a guy who can spot the fastball, who can throw a backdoor slider, with anybody. What's been interesting for Waldron, this was pre-injury, was he was reverting back to being a pitcher with a knuckleball rather than a knuckleballer. And last year, it was much more a focus on him being a knuckleballer, getting it up to 60, 70%. And that clearly was not going to be the plan this year. They gave him a lot of commit with him out of options, kind of said, hey, you do what you want to do. However you feel like you're going to be most successful at getting guys out, you do what you want to do. So I think with Waldron, as far as the catching part of it, it's an interesting point, Braden. I will tell you, though, like I remember there was a situation in 24, I think it was, where Gary Sanchez had never caught a knuckleball and had to catch Waldron that night for some reason. This was during the regular season. I cannot remember what game it was.
Was that down in Miami or something?
No, it was at home. And I talked to Gary right beforehand, right after BP, was like, have you ever caught a knuckleball? And he was like, nope, like we're gonna find out. So I don't know. I mean, I think you can kind of figure it out. I mean, I'm with you that, you know, a team, especially a good team, may look at it and say, man, we don't have even anybody who can catch this guy. I get it. I would think, though, Braden, and his situation is going to be interesting because he's supposed to pitch today, at least for a little bit. You know, unclear of if he pitches in some Cactus League games, can you realistically then start him on the IL, which would kick the out of options can down the road. I'm not sure about that, but he is he is somebody who I think would intrigue a lot of teams because of the knuckleball. I think because of the other stuff, and I, you know, could he sneak through because good teams don't have anybody to catch him? Sure, but you know, like a subpar team, I just, you know, would that prevent you from picking up a guy on waivers that you think has some real potential? And I think Matt's shown that there is potential there of him being like a bona fide major league starting pitcher. So we'll see. It's an interesting question, but I don't know that it would preclude teams from necessarily picking him up. I feel like you can kind of figure it out.
Yeah, I find it interesting with, especially with like everybody's view on like knuckle. Nobody throws it. I mean, there's very, very limited players that throw a knuckleball, and you know, whatever the Padres have to be creative with trying to keep as much depth as possible. So, you know, obviously all the conversations are going to be about how many guys we can keep on this particular team.
Yeah, and by the way, I just got a text message. By the way, I do think you're right about McKenzie, so my apologies on that. I do think you're right that he'll have the ability to opt out at the end of spring training. But, you know, an opt-out, I think it's important to note, an opt-out, you know, that means that you think there's another team out there willing to give you a roster spot. So, to be honest, if I were Tristan McKenzie, and based on the Padres' needs and, like, lack of, I guess, like, other minor league depth from a starting pitching standpoint, like, to me, he's probably one of the early guys that would get called up when you have a need. I would think there's a pretty good chance he would stay put. Don't quote me on that, obviously, but by the way, just so you know, I think you were initially correct that he can opt out.
Yeah, the opt-out thing, and you mentioned it, it's perfect. He has the choice. He didn't have to, right? So like, it's not like a guarantee that he would, but it's one of those. It's not a for sure thing. Like JP Sears, he's part of the organization. He's not going to opt out. He's got options. They're going to opt him down to AAA potentially, right? You know he's going to be part of the organization. There's risk involved with trying to, you know, get these guys through waivers or potentially have them go down to AAA and all that stuff. But I agree with you, Sam. Like a guy like Tristan McKenzie, if it becomes, you know, you could pitch for the Cardinals who aren't expected to be good, or you can hang out a little bit and then you could be on a team that's competitive. It's an interesting conversation, but I know for a lot of these guys, service time is very valuable and being in the big leagues is very valuable. So it's definitely going to be interesting how they make a lot of these decisions. Last thing for you, because we're running out of time, let's talk about the position players. Again, as we've talked about in the show, Bryce Johnson has done an exceptional job in a Padres uniform. I think he brings a lot of versatility to this team. With Sung-Moon Song, who is now getting some more activity back. You know, it's the race between who's going to make this final roster spot. Ty France still continuing to hit. Jose Miranda feels comfortable here. He's been hitting really well. Bryce Johnson brings all the intangibles across the board. Sung-Moon Song's the guy you invested in. What's the latest update on the bench battle?
Yeah, I think let's start with Sung-Moon Song, because I think it starts there. He is continuing a hitting progression. From what I understand, started swinging in the last day or so. And here's the reality, Braden. It's opening day, a week from Thursday. I find it hard to believe that he's going to be ready to go for something that's been now a reoccurring issue. So I'm living in a world where there are essentially two bench spots with Song not ready. I think in a world where there are two bench spots, I don't see how Bryce Johnson doesn't make the team based on how he's played in spring, based on how they've used him in spring and the needs of this particular roster. And then you're laser focused on the other spot. And, I don't want to disrespect Mason McCoy, who's already on the 40-man and certainly might just get that spot. But I think Ty France and Jose Miranda have both shown enough and provide enough upside to where I would kind of be surprised at this point if one of those guys doesn't make it and take that song spot. They've played well. They have versatility. They've shown the ability to hit. I would be very laser focused on those two guys this week, Miranda and France, especially considering Song to me is not going to be ready for opening day. So that's kind of how I would put it right now, that you're looking at probably Johnson and either France or Miranda. I could be wrong about that. Again, don't quote me on that. But that would seem very logical to me at this point with those two bench spots. And look, France, Miranda have played well. I think they've played themselves into that conversation. And also, to me, Braden, there's a little track record there with both. Miranda's had success. I mean, there was a time where Miranda looked like he was going to be part of the future with the Twins. Ty France has been around a while, can hit clearly. And can play some different positions as well. So that's how I would put it right now.
I think so too, Sam. We're on the same page with that as we get closer to opening day. 9 days out from meaningful baseball.
But even with the focus on France and Miranda, the only thing I would say is that you just never know. Meanwhile, Mason McCoy's been here and plays the infield and is on the 40-man already. You never know. I just feel like likelihood you probably take a swing at a Miranda or France and see what you got in those guys based on some I think the offensive upside those guys can provide.
Yeah, especially, and the other thing too is France has been in a lot of these lineups that have guys that are going to be playing a lot of games. So
absolutely.
And he might have the nod over Miranda just based on the lineups they're throwing out there.
It's kind of amazing with France when you actually think about it. The guy had at bats in the World Series last year, won a Gold Glove last year, and had to take a minor league deal. It's kind of surprising. I understand it's been up and down for him offensively, but for a guy that can play a lot of positions and did that last year, I don't know. To me, he'd be very intriguing, but so would Miranda. Miranda's had a really nice spring. He's done a good job. So, those two guys I'd be laser focused on right now for sure.
Xander Bogaerts, Gavin Sheets leaving the building today. That's your update, Sam, for you.
They hit home runs already?
Yeah, they've already hit home runs. Armand Marquez gave up a home run to Luke Raley too. So the wind must be blowing out, Sam, because we got 3 home runs in an inning.
I'm not yet at the stadium, but I'll try to give you a win report when I get there.
Yeah, you're missing the home run derby.
I'll say here, I'm just looking on the backfield. It's not very windy today on the backfields, but that means nothing as far as the stadium. So
we'll keep you updated. We'll talk to you on Thursday. Thanks again for the update, Sam. Get out there. You're missing home run derby. I think they're throwing the gold ball next.
All right, guys. See ya.
Sam Levitt joining us from Peoria. We got to take a break. We went super long with Sam, but the home run derby's busted out. It's 2-1 Padres here in the top of the second inning. We'll let you know what happened with Armand Marquez when we come back. A big response after a tough loss. The goals went 1-2 this week, but the big story might be the play of young defenseman Tristan Leno. Leno extended his point streak to 7 straight games, scoring the game-winning goal in a 2-1 victory over the Colorado Eagles, one of the top teams in the Pacific Division. Goaltender Thomas Susek also stepped up in that game, stopping 28 of 29 shots to help secure the victory. Earlier in the week, the Gulls struggled offensively in a 4-1 loss to San Jose and then fell 6-3 to Colorado. But Captain Ryan Carpenter and team scoring leader Sasha Pastoshev continued to produce. So here's the question moving forward. Are the Gulls starting to build momentum late in the season? Because if their young stars keep producing like this, San Diego could make things interesting down the stretch. San Diego Gulls had a mixed stretch of games this week, going 1-2 across matchups with the San Jose Barracuda and the Colorado Eagles. And the week started with a 4-1 loss to San Jose at TXCU Arena.
Yeah, the Barracuda scored twice early before defenseman Tristan Luneau cut the lead in half of the slapshot goal. The tally extended Luneau's hot streak to 5 straight games with a point. San Diego's penalty kill continued to shine, staying perfect for the 4th consecutive game, but the offense just could not generate enough to be able to mount the comeback before coming home to face the Colorado Eagles.
Now, back at home at Pechanga Arena, the Gulls fell 6-3 to Colorado despite a strong start. Captain Ryan Carpenter opened the scoring on the power play, while Judd Caulfield scored his first career AHL power play goal to briefly restore the lead. However, Colorado pulled away in the 3rd period with 4 goals. Forward Sasha Pastujov finished the night with a goal and an assist and now leads the team with 42 points this season. But the Gulls responded the following night. They went and beat Colorado 2-1 against the Eagles, earning a split of the series against one of the Pacific Division's top teams. And when we've looked at the standings for the AHL, Frank, this is big wins because this is a big swing for the Gulls as they try to make the postseason.
Yeah, we've talked about it over the course of the last couple of updates as to how tight everything is in the division, in the playoff race. And for the San Diego Gulls to be able to at least salvage one of the games last week, very, very big. And we've talked about, again, over the last couple of updates, how they've played in so many close games, winning and losing. This is definitely a young, battle-tested team that's still trying to learn how to win.
Yeah. Goaltender Thomas Suchanek delivered a standout performance, 28 saves, while Nikita Nesterenko opened the scoring with his 4th goal of the season in this win over Colorado. Once again, Tristan Lowe played a key role, scoring the game-winning goal in the 3rd period, extending his point streak to 7 games with 11 points during that span. One of the biggest positives, I think, for the Gulls right now is the play of Tristan Luneau. Young defenseman is not only producing offensively, but also leading all Gulls defensemen in points. And when a blue liner can control the puck, contribute goals, and drive the transition game, it changes the entire dynamic of a team's offense, Frank.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like adding another forward out there, a forward that plays back for you. So for Tristan Luneau to really come on the way he has, again, scoring points in his last 7 games, that is absolutely huge for a team that is looking to make a playoff run and is towards the back end of the safe zone.
Now, another encouraging sign, the penalty kill, which has been perfect over the past several games. In the AHL, special teams can often decide tight games, and San Diego is starting to show improvement in that area. The bigger challenge, though, for the Gulls moving forward is consistency. They've proven they can compete with strong teams like Colorado, but turning those flashes into sustained momentum will be the key if they want to climb the Pacific Division standings. They are in a safe spot right now for a playoff, but they are not too far off from hosting playoff games. This is something that should be in their center line to go out there and attack and get. And not only that, you don't just want to make the playoffs, Frank. You want to try to advance in the playoffs, and the consistency with this team is going to be key.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be close to see how this team is going to play. But for the Gulls, they're showing a lot of positive trends to where if things maybe don't go the way they want to or the way they hope or expect it to this year, years down the line, with Anaheim being as good as they are and being able to keep some of these young players and also possibly adding some in trades or in free agency during the offseason or next year, that'll be a huge key for this team. It may not be able to win this year, but next year and years on, they're looking very, very good.
And now the question becomes, are the San Diego Gulls starting to find their rhythm late in the season? Are these strong performances just isolated flashes against tough competition? And with players like Luneau and Pastujov producing and the goaltending stepping up, San Diego may still have an opportunity to make things interesting down the stretch. Guessing live for the Bill House Studios, we know how. Armand Marquez in the first inning got Brendan Donovan to pop up, got Rob Refsnyder to pop up, laked the ball over the heart of the plate against Luke Raley. It was first pitch he saw, fastball, middle in. That usually doesn't end well. Luke Raley homered to take a 1-0 lead for Seattle, and then he came back, Marquez did, punched out Randy Arozarena. Nice little bounce back there. Gave it the mistake pitch. But then to start the second inning, Padres go back-to-back. Gavin Sheets hits a absolute bomb to right field. I mean, he crushed that thing to tie the game up at 1. Then Xander Bogaerts homered to center, and the Padres have a 2-1 lead. Freddie Fermin then singled. Castellanos is flown out, and then Freddie Fermin got caught stealing second base. So that brings up Ty France with Ramon Laureano at first base. But so far, obviously, the Padres have hit Luis Castillo super well in spring training. Maybe he's working on things.
Working on being washed.
Look, I think there's the cliches of spring training are funny to me, and we are abusers of that too.
We perpetuate it.
Yeah. The built-in excuse all the time for when guys don't do well is like, yeah, I'm working on stuff. I think it's a lot easier to do when you're a pitcher and you're definitely going to be on the team. I'm working on things. But when you're a pitcher trying to make the team, you're not really working on things. You're working on results. You're trying to get guys out.
You're working on the game.
You're working on results. I think that does weigh a little bit more. I mean, it's as much as we have talked about, like, I might be working on something. That kind of works for Nick Pivetta and Michael King. I don't know if that really works for Herman Marquez. So Luis Castillo, after this outing, I'm sure will be like, I was just working on my fastball. Obviously, still needs some work, but we're 9 days away from opening day. I don't know how much more of that he can do. Gavin Sheets hit the four-seam fastball out, up and in, smoked. Xander Bogaerts hit a fastball out. Yeah, and it comes in at 93.8. Well, Castillo just, again, another guy that has to kind of reinvent himself a little bit. Not as dominant. So, Padres up 2-1 right now over the Seattle Mariners in spring training. We'll keep you updated on that as we continue the Braden Surprenant show. Gwen and Chris will be on after us, of course, to tell you more about what's going on in the Padre game. But we're about to see the second inning of Herman Marquez, and we'll see how he does as he bounces back from giving up a home run in the bottom half of the first inning. But
World Baseball Classic final tonight as well.
Yeah, WBC tonight. We got a lot of good sports tonight. This is a great time. You know what? I want to thank Brock Ungrich for not having a USD game tonight because we got a lot of sports to watch. We got the first four. First four should be tipping off soon. They usually tip off at like 4 o'clock.
3:45, I think.
3:45.
I put it down. 3:40.
3:40.
The UMBC Good Boys versus the Howard Bison.
UMBC's got a funny Twitter account. They had a hilarious one when they beat Virginia as the only 16 seed at the time to beat a number 1 seed. Remember that? And then they've now evolved. They were complaining about their travel to get to Dayton, and it was pretty funny. And then somebody like tried to be sly and be a troll to UMBC, and whatever they said was, I forget what they said, but then UMBC, because the guy's account, the troll's account, had like a Steelers thing, and the UMBC account replied with, "That's rich coming from somebody that roots for that team in Pittsburgh," which I thought was funny.
That's why we call them the Good Boys.
Yeah, that's right.
Not the Retrievers.
That will be
they're the Good Boys.
3:40 today on True TV. It's the only time where people know where True TV is, and then they'll be followed by Texas and NC State. We also got the World Baseball Classic final. USA and Venezuela is on tonight. A lot of great sports to talk about tomorrow. A lot of great sports to indulge in tonight. 9 days away from opening day. When we come back, we'll give you a quick preview of what to expect for the NCAA tournament. We're going to go deeper dive to help you fill out your brackets tomorrow. We had a lot of baseball talk today, but when we come back, March Madness. What to know going into this tournament when we come back. The University of San Diego just made one of the biggest basketball hires in program history. USD named J.R. Blunt as the new head coach of the Toreros, and his resume is pretty impressive. Blunt comes from Iowa State, where he helped lead the Cyclones to 4 straight NCAA tournament appearances, a Big 12 tournament championship, and multiple Sweet 16 runs. During that stretch, Iowa State even climbed to number 2 in the country. Now, the big question is, can he bring that same success to San Diego? Because the Toreros are trying to climb the ladder in the West Coast Conference, where programs like Gonzaga and St. Mary's have dominated for years. Blunt says his goal is simple: build a program based on toughness, accountability, and winning championships. But rebuilding a mid-major program in today's college basketball world isn't easy. So the real question is, did USD just hire the coach who could finally change the trajectory of Torero basketball? USD has officially named J.R. Blunt the 15th head coach in program history for the San Diego Toreros men's basketball program. And he arrives after spending 5 seasons at Iowa State as an assistant coach under head coach T.J. Otzelberger, helping guide one of the most impressive program turnarounds in college basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. And during his time at Ohio State, he went 95-45, made 4 straight NCAA tournament appearances, won the Big 12 tournament in 2024, and has also reached the Sweet 16 twice. So he's got quite the resume in a big major conference that he's going to be bringing here to San Diego.
And as I mentioned before, the Cyclones even climbed to as high as number 2 in the country in recent seasons. Blunt also previously coached Colorado State for their men's basketball program, where he helped build one of the Mountain West top programs and recruit the best class in school history. USD leadership says the hire is about building a championship culture and pushing the Toreros into the upper tier of the West Coast Conference. Blunt himself says the goal is simple: build a program defined by toughness, accountability, and winning. Now on to baseball. It's been tough. It's been competitive for San Diego, but they are facing some serious tough competition. The Toreros have now lost 10 straight games in baseball as they battled some elite competition this week, but struggled to close out games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been unfortunate. They fell 7-6 in 10 innings against number 25 USC, snapping a 4-game winning streak in the rivalry. It did not get easier. They then hosted number 18 Oregon State and dropped all 3 games, though they kept fighting offensively. Still in the L column it goes.
Yeah, key highlights of the weekend: Jaden Lobliner hit his 6th home run of the season. Andrew Ghana was 5 for 10 over the weekend. USD recorded multiple double-digit hit games, but despite the losses, the Toreros showed a lot of resilience, scoring 4 unanswered runs in one game and rallying late in several others. The team now turns its attention to start West Coast Conference play against Gonzaga, which is a new start to the season. In conference play, in a conference they were expected to win, got to be able to start taking advantage against West Coast Conference opponents now moving further. We'll see if they have been battle-tested from their non-conference schedule. On the softball, meanwhile, the Torero softball team bounced back after dropping the first 2 games of a doubleheader against Idaho State and their Bengals softball program. Torero salvaged the series finale with a 5-3 win powered by home runs.
Yeah, absolutely. A solo shot from Janae Combs, another one from Taylor Johnson, and a game-changing 3-run home run from freshman Abriel Diaz. Big moments over the course of that weekend for the softball team.
Yeah, pitching also locked things down late as Charlie Johnson threw 3 scoreless innings to secure the win. USD now heads to Sacramento to face Sacramento State softball in their next series. Now, the most interesting storyline with USD this week, though, is the J.R. Blunt hire, but it's actually, something about the hire. USD basketball has struggled for consistent national relevance in the West Coast Conference, especially competing against programs like Gonzaga and St. Mary's. Now, with Gonzaga on their way out to the Pac-12, no longer a problem for USD to deal with, hiring a coach here is very important for the future of this program. And hiring a coach from a big top, a top Big 12 program does signal something important. USD isn't just rebuilding; they're trying to change the ceiling of this program. And the question now becomes whether that success from a power conference program can translate into a mid-major rebuild in San Diego, as we just discussed with San Diego State, having to try to compete at a mid-major level with a lot of the top programs in the country in the Power 4. So it's going to be interesting, Frank, when it comes to San Diego and what they can do, because at one end of the spectrum, San Diego State is spending $9 million overall on their basketball roster and expenses, and they still can't make the NCAA tournament. But now small school San Diego, with this hire, are going to try to do what San Diego State was unable to do at a high level.
Yeah, and they're also trying to take over one of the flag bearer spots of this conference. Of course, St. Mary's is the top dog in the conference, but they're also trying to elevate themselves up at a higher level. And as we keep mentioning, with UC San Diego coming over to the conference in a couple of years, they're going to want to really separate themselves from UC San Diego and be one of the top teams, one of the teams that you have to beat if you want to win the West Coast Conference.
We'll talk more about that later on next week. My bad, giving True TV some strays there. I forgot that was Cole Brooks in the YouTube chat's favorite channel. Just watches Impractical Jokers all day. I love the Jay Kuda tweets all the time.
Could you not make fun of my mom? She's already mad at you for giving her a foul last week. Can you not make fun of her?
She likes True TV
for watching Impractical Jokers nonstop?
You know what? When you get home today, Frank, you'll be able to watch March Madness because it'll just be right after Impractical Jokers. When you have to change the channel.
I'm expecting a text any minute now.
Jay Kuda on social media, the troll account. The guy's like an engineer that just loves the White Sox and just tweets out nonsense, which is hilarious. The graph that he put out the other day was so funny. It's a chart that tracks how many people watch True TV. It's a flat line. It spikes in March, and then it's a flat line again. So good. True TV is going to have the first 2 games of the first 4 games of the NCAA tournament with the first 4. 2 of those games start today at 1 at 3:40. The first game today is at 3:40. It is UMBC, the Good Boys, and Howard. That will start at 3:40 Pacific time, and at 6:15 it's Texas and NC State. Both teams are trying to battle their way into the NCAA tournament. We have an update on what's going on in the game in Peoria. Padres are up 2-1. German Marquez gave up a home run in the first inning, and in the second inning, first of all, after the home run he gave up in the first inning, he struck out the next batter he saw. And then which was Randy Arozarena. Then in the second inning, he strikes out Mitch Garver to start the inning, strikes out Coley Young, and then gets Victor Robles to ground out. So really good bounce back for German Marquez after giving up the home run. It's 2-1 San Diego. The Padres got both their runs on home runs. Gavin Sheets hit 1, and Xander Bogaerts hit 1. All right. Let's get to some of the March Madness. We're going to kind of give you a quick synopsis of who's in the NCAA tournament, what to watch for, some mid-major threats, where everything's at in terms of the elite blue bloods, the NBA level star power, transfer portal impact players, just kind of a overall synopsis to this NCAA tournament field. We haven't had too much time to break down the NCAA tournament yet. But the 2026 NCAA tournament's definitely loaded with a lot of teams that could win this thing. No clear favorite this year, but you got elite blue bloods as part of this tournament this year, NBA level star power, transfer portal impact players, dangerous mid-majors, and a ton of teams with some real flaws, which is shaping up to be a wide-open March, even with what a lot of experts are calling dominant number 1 seeds. I mean, really dominant number 1 seeds. And let's talk about those number 1 seeds. It's an elite list of who got the number 1 seeds this year. Duke, Arizona, Michigan, and Florida. That's in the order of number 1 seeds. Duke is led by their freshman Cameron Boozer, who's a Player of the Year favorite. Historic offensive efficiency potential for this Duke Blue Devils team.
It's the Duke Blue Good Boys.
Yeah, there you go. But they have had some key injuries. I mean, Caleb Foster is out, one of their better players. Ninangba is uncertain. So Duke is a little beat up right now going into the NCAA tournament as the number 1 seed out of the ACC and the number 1 seed in the overall tournament. And even though Duke might be the best team, they're definitely not invincible, which opens up the door for a potential upset maybe early in the NCAA tournament. Maybe the 8-9 matchup, huh? Frank, eh? Arizona, I think, is the most complete roster in the country. They got insane depth. They got 7 players that average 9 to 10 points per game plus. I mean, they got 7 players averaging double figures when it comes to points. I mean, they can score across the board. They got elite defense. They have some battle-tested wins too. They already beat Florida, who's the other another one of the number 1 seeds. They beat UConn this year on the road at UConn, and they beat Kansas on the road. No, actually, no, they beat Kansas at home. My mistake. They split with Kansas. But they are the most complete roster in the country. They only have 2 losses all year. Both came in Big 12 play, which is the best conference in college basketball this year from a metric standpoint. Then you get to Michigan. Michigan had that great start to the year, only dropped 2 games. They're both close losses this season. Massive lineup. I mean, they got size everywhere. Top 5 offense and defense of the Wolverines. And they're built like a Final Four team physically and stylistically, too. And we've seen this team a couple of times up close now with San Diego State playing Michigan. I mean, Michigan's legit. And they're going to be a problem. Last one for you is Florida. There's the last number 1 seed. 11-game win streak entering the tournament. Balanced scoring, elite efficiency. And they're the hot team right now. Nobody wants to face as they're the 4th seeded number 1 seed representing the South tournament. So the elite, the teams at the top are very much elite. They're not invincible, but they're pretty elite. Now you look at the number 2 seeds. Dangerous with questions. Like UConn is a dangerous team that you don't want to run into. And they're chasing 3 titles in 4 years under Dan Hurley. They're experienced. They're tough. They're proven winners. You can trust them, but they haven't been dominant lately. They didn't even win their conference. St. John's won it outright in the regular season and won it in the tournament. St. John's coming here to play in San Diego. That's going to be a fun team to watch up in person if you haven't gotten tickets to go watch the NCAA tournament here in town. But they're going to be, UConn is a problem. Purdue, another team. This is the only sport where they're not a Purdue, okay? This is the only sport where the Boilermakers really are dominant is in basketball. Elite offense, 39% from the three-point line. Late season, they were kind of falling apart, though. They went 6-7 to finish the year. And they're really much a boom or bust team. Final Four or early exit. I mean, it really is kind of in between when it comes to the Purdue Boilermakers. Then you talk about Iowa State. Now, tomorrow on the show at 12:35, Iowa State's assistant coach and the new head coach of the USD Toreros, J.R. Blunt, will join us tomorrow at 12:35. It's his first media appearance since being announced as the head coach over there in Linda Vista. So we're going to have J.R. Blunt on, talk a little bit more about Iowa State, but also talk about the job that he's going to take here at the University of San Diego. We're looking forward to that happening tomorrow. But Iowa State, top 10 defensively in the country, and they got an elite trio of players. They're very inconsistent on offense as of late, but their ceiling is very high. Title contender. Floor could be a disappointment with the start that, depending on where the matchups are early on in this tournament. Houston's very dangerous. I think a lot of people are picking Houston to win this tournament. I think a lot of people are picking Houston to win their side of the bracket and to make it all the way to the NCAA National Championship game. As a 2 seed, they got a freshman star in Kingston Flemings, and they got elite ball security. They got toughness. This is a dominant team. Usually, they're an experienced team, and Houston's been really good in basketball the last handful of seasons. And they completed a really difficult Big 12 schedule. They're not as dominant shooting-wise as they've been in the past, but they're still a dangerous team to look out for. Now, where the real value is when you're looking at filling out a tournament, filling out a bracket to 3 to 5 seeds, this is where the value is. Michigan State, no NBA stars, but they got toughness and depth, a classic Tom Izzo team. They're built for some serious March chaos. And we've seen Michigan State go on some serious runs in the past when they've been a little bit more of an underdog. Gonzaga, now they haven't played in over a week because the West Coast Conference tournament ends before all the other tournaments really start. They have elite defense, but the X factor for Gonzaga is, Braden Huff. If he's coming back from injury, is he not? If they're healthy, Gonzaga is really dangerous, and they could be a sleeper team in the NCAA tournament. But if they're not, I don't know about Gonzaga really making a large push. I've seen this Gonzaga team play in person. I think they're good, but this is not the best Gonzaga team they've had, as much as they like to say this is the best Gonzaga team they have because they got a lot of length. They're not. I don't think they are as dominant of a Gonzaga as we've seen in the past. They might be able to make a little bit of a run, but I would not expect. I don't think Gonzaga is going to make the Final Four. Illinois, best offense in the country, very questionable defense. They can score with anyone, but can they stop anyone is going to be the big question. You got to be able to play good defense in the NCAA tournament if you want to advance. Kansas has been up and down. They got very elite talent, but their chemistry is very questionable, and they have had injury drama all season long. I mean, they could potentially get upset early in this tournament here in San Diego because they're going to be here taking on a California Baptist in the first game of their NCAA tournament. And if they win, they got to deal with a very difficult St. John's team as the 5 seed. So that's something to pay attention to as well. I mean, they could lose early. They also have the talent to make a deep run. Alabama, number 1 scoring offense, averaging 91.7 points per game, fast pace, no defense consistency. But the other thing too with Alabama is one of their best players just got arrested for having 2.1 pounds of weed. So I don't know what Alabama's going to have against Hofstra, but you know what? Hofstra might be able to give them a run. They're a track meet team, high risk, high reward. The biggest X factor for Alabama is going to be, can they overcome now not having one of the best players on their team? Now you get to the X factors of the NCAA tournament. Now this plays a big role in putting up your bracket and filling out your NCAA tournament bracket. Injuries, stars, and chaos. Star power everywhere. AJ DeBansta from BYU, future number 1 pick candidate. Something to pay attention to with BYU and their tournament path. Yaxel Lindenberg of Michigan, elite 2A force. This tournament has NBA level talent across multiple seeds. That needs to be part of the factor when you're filling out a bracket. Injuries are going to decide March. Duke is missing key guard depth. You need good guard play to win in the NCAA tournament. Duke is missing that. Could be a factor to be upset early in the tournament. Gonzaga is still waiting on Braden Huff. If Braden Huff doesn't play, that's a drastically different Gonzaga team. UNC is dealing with the Caleb Wilson injury. That's a factor for them moving forward. And Texas Tech is going to be without JT Toppin with an ACL, and Texas Tech has not been as good in the last couple of weeks without JT Toppin. So when you look at what Texas Tech has accomplished, you should probably look at, did they do it before JT Toppin getting hurt or after JT Toppin getting hurt? Because after JT Toppin got hurt, they didn't have a good showing in the Big 12 tournament. They lost to TCU at home. They had been in games that they shouldn't have been in because they should have dominated in the final couple of games of Big 12 play. JT Toppin being hurt for Texas Tech is a big loss. And then the last factor, of course, is the mid-major threats. Now, there's not a lot of mid-majors that have made this NCAA tournament from an at-large perspective. We saw San Diego State, New Mexico not make it. Mountain West being a one-bid league. St. Mary's is a team that did make it as an at-large in a mid-major. They're very efficient and they're experienced. Experience goes a long way in the NCAA tournament. Utah State, elite guard play. We've seen Utah State 3 times now when you watch the Aztecs. Elite guard play usually works out for teams advancing in the NCAA tournament. And then VCU. The VCU Rams, they have been red hot as of late. They won their tournament, the A10 tournament, to clinch a spot in the NCAA tournament. It's not a top-heavy bracket this season, but upsets. I think upsets are going to be coming a little bit more than maybe last year. Last year was only 7 upsets in the first round. But there's no dominant team, even though the 1 seeds are very elite. They do have flaws, injuries, depths, inconsistencies. Offense is king, but defense still decides titles. Illinois and Alabama, elite offense, they don't have that defense that plays off the offense. History says defense still matters in March. Look for more teams that have better defensive efficiency and better defensive guard play. Experience usually outweighs talent in the NCAA tournament too. UConn has experience. Duke has elite freshman talent. Michigan has that physical dominance. So we're going to take a deeper dive in the NCAA tournament tomorrow as we get you ready for your brackets. But that's your biggest takeaway. For Frank Marchese, I'm Braden Surprenant. Gwen and Chris coming up next. Team USA tonight in the WBC. Talk about it tomorrow.